Flood inundates landless quarters holding center in Kirtipur. Dozens of displaced families evacuated. Nepal government revokes licenses of 44 construction firms for failing to renew permits. Majority of contractors miss mandatory deadline. 3 persons killed and 12 injured as a jeep plunges off-road in western Nepal's Bajang. Most of the injured in critical condition. Iran's supreme leader vows vengeance for predecessor's killing. Iran's foreign minister reaches Oman for talks on Strait of Hormuz. China braced for second typhoon in a week as Typhoon Bavi approaches landfall. Thousands evacuated. And Norway locking horns with England tonight for semi-final spot in World Cup 2026. Argentina to face Switzerland tomorrow morning. Good evening, I am April Agising Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Flooding triggered by continuous rainfall and rising water levels in the Bagmati River has inundated a holding center for landless settlers at the Radhaswamy Satsang Center in Sundarighat of Kirtipur municipality in Kathmandu. This has forced the evacuation of dozens of families sheltering at the facility. Floodwaters entered the holding center overnight after heavy rain, leaving the facility inundated. Authorities said 154 people were staying at the holding center. Some have been evacuated by security personnel to a building at Tribhuvan University, while others have sought refuge with relatives. The displaced residents said the floodwaters submerged all of their belongings. In other news, Nepal has launched a new nationwide disaster hotline 1234 to help people report emergencies and request rescue assistance more quickly. The Home Ministry said the new toll-free number replaces the previous hotline 1149. Calls from Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur will be answered by the National Emergency Operations Center. Calls from the other 74 districts will be automatically connected to the Emergency Operations Center in the Kolos district. The ministry said the new system will make it easier for people to report disaster-related incidents, seek help and receive information. It also urged the public to follow official government advisories during disasters and use 1234 when emergency assistance is needed. Now, Nepal's Ministry of Infrastructure Development has annulled the license of 44 firms and companies that failed to renew their construction business license. The Construction Entrepreneurship Promotion Unit under the Ministry of Infrastructure Development has stated in a notice that the licenses of 44 construction entrepreneurs who did not renew their licenses within the fiscal year 2025-26 by March 30, 2026, as per the Construction Business Act, have been automatically revoked. The decision was made at the secretary level of the ministry. Nepal's Apex Bank, Nepal Rashtra Bank, NRB, has directed banks and financial institutions to prepare and implement an action plan to reduce the number of inactive accounts by the end of December. The directive applies to Class A commercial banks, Class B development banks, and Class C finance companies. Under the revised provision, banks must regularly notify customers through phone calls, SMS, email or other appropriate means before an account becomes inactive. Financial institutions have also been instructed to contact customers at least once every 6 months via phone, SMS or email to encourage the reactivation of inactive accounts. They are required to maintain records of such communications. The central bank has further directed banks to allow customers to close their accounts from any branch across the country or through mobile and web applications. We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. 3 persons have been killed and 12 others injured after a jeep met with an accident in western Nepal's Bajang district this afternoon. The accident occurred as the jeep plunged about 250 meters off a road, according to local authorities. According to Jay Bahadur Mahat, ward chair of Durgathali Rural Municipality 6, those killed are identified as Kela Devi Dhami, Chakra Mahat and Bimala Devi Dhami of Kedarsiu Rural Municipality Ward number 7. Several of the injured are reported to be in critical condition. It is reported that 16 persons were on board the jeep at all time of the crash. Local residents launched rescue efforts immediately after the accident, while police teams were dispatched to the scene. In other news, a 50-year-old man who attempted self-immolation at his residence in Buddhanagar of Kathmandu earlier this morning has died while undergoing treatment at Bir Hospital, according to police. The deceased was identified as Ashwin Raut, a resident of Buddhanagar. Spokesperson at the Kathmandu District Police, SP Pawan Bhattrai, said Raut succumbed to his injuries during treatment at the hospital. Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the incident. Moving on, tea farmers in Nepal's eastern district of Chapa are facing a fresh crisis as caterpillar investigations spread across tea gardens, threatening production and livelihoods. Already struggling with low prices and market uncertainties, growers say the pests are destroying tea leaves and tender shoots, leaving some plantations severely damaged. Farmers also report that pesticides which once controlled the infestation are no longer effective, raising concerns that the caterpillars have developed resistance. Instead, tea gardens require regular monitoring, timely pruning, proper sanitation, the use of biological control methods, and the application of pesticides strictly according to technical recommendations. Now, agricultural experts say reliance on a single pesticide is not enough and recommend regular field monitoring, timely pruning, proper sanitation, biological pest control, and the use of recommended pesticides. With thousands of farmers and workers dependent on the tea industry, experts warned that without immediate and coordinated intervention, the infestation could cause significant losses to this year's tea production. It is now time for a short break. We shall be back with more updates. Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei has vowed to seek revenge for his killing of his predecessor and father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in his first public statement since the former leader's funeral. The statement, broadcast by Iran's state television, marked Mojtaba Khamenei's first response after taking over the role and came as Iranian authorities held funeral ceremonies for the former supreme leader.
شهیدان این دو جنگ را از قاتلین جنایتکار و بی‌آبرو بگیریم. این جنایتکاران که فهرستی از صدر تا ذیلشان موجود است، آرزوی مرگ آرام و در بستر را با خود به گور خواهند برد.
Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that the United States would completely decimate Iran if it attempted to assassinate him. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump said U.S. forces were ready, willing and able to destroy targets across Iran, adding that military orders had been issued already. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Oman, a key mediator in previous U.S.-Iran negotiations, as diplomatic efforts intensified to revive talks amid ending the Middle East conflict. Oman had previously facilitated indirect negotiations between Washington and Tehran before the outbreak of hostilities. The visit comes after U.S. President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire had ended, raising concerns over renewed tensions in the region. Mediators are working to restore dialogue and explore possible pathways toward de-escalation amid growing international pressure to prevent further conflict. Now, hundreds of thousands of people have been evacuated from areas of eastern China as a powerful typhoon, the country's second in a week, barrels towards the coast. Typhoon Bavi, which spans 1,000 kilometers at its widest point, roughly the width of France, is expected to make landfall near the major city of Wenzhou on Sunday morning. After pummeling a chain of remote Japanese islands, it brought heavy rainfall to Taiwan Island as it brushed past its northern tip. Earlier landslides triggered by the storm killed 17 people in the Philippines. Though it has weakened to a Category 1 typhoon, it still presents a risk because of the huge volume of moisture within its rain bands. The city of Wenzhou, home to around 10 million people, is close to the path of the storm. Babi began as a super typhoon, battering Guam and northern Mariana Islands last Monday with wind speeds of 290 kilometers per hour. A deadly wildfire in southern Spain that killed at least 12 people showed signs of easing on Saturday, allowing firefighters to launch a direct attack on the blaze for the first time, according to the officials. The fire has burned about 6,600 hectares in Andalusia's area, which is home to a large community of foreigners, since erupting on Thursday, and has forced nearly 1,500 people to evacuate. Officials said improved weather conditions, including higher humidity and lighter winds, had helped slow the fire's spread. Authorities reported no additional deaths overnight, while most of those killed are believed to be foreign nationals living in the area. Now, New Zealand and India announced a new strategic partnership covering defence and security during Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Auckland. The agreement includes closer defence cooperation and naval exercises, with both countries reaffirming their commitment to a free, open, peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific. The visit was the first by an Indian Prime Minister to New Zealand in 40 years and came days after China test-fired a ballistic missile into the Pacific, a development which was discussed during bilateral talks. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said stronger ties with India was a part of a broader effort to build relationships with like-minded partners across the region. We have more from the international front, but before that, let's take a short breather. Zimbabwe's government said it has repatriated more than 21,000 of its citizens from South Africa since late May as pressure on undocumented migrants intensified. The government said another 56,800 Zimbabweans returned independently during the same period. The departures come amid a broader regional exodus, with several other African countries like Malawi and Ghana assisting their nationals to leave South Africa following anti-migrant protest and a campaign telling undocumented migrants to leave the country by June 30. South Africa's border authorities said tens of thousands of migrants have exited through the Beitbridge border crossing in recent weeks. South Africa has faced growing tensions over migration as some groups blame undocumented migrants for unemployment, pressure on public services and crime. Now, Japan's space agency JAXA said its prototype reusable rocket successfully completed its first liftoff and landing test on Saturday, marking a key milestone in developing cost-cutting launch technology. The rocket reached an altitude of about 10 meters before landing safely after a 40-second flight at Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency test site in Akita Prefecture. The test came a day after China announced its own first successful reusable rocket landing, showcasing a growing Asian competition in reusable space launch technology, largely dominated by Western space agencies. Officials said the Japanese test yielded valuable data that will be reviewed to access the rocket's performance. Reusable rockets are designed to reduce launch cost by recovering and reusing expensive components, a technology currently led by SpaceX. Now, US rapper Pitbull has officially received a Guinness World Record after his fans set a new record for the largest number of people wearing bald caps in one place during a special event in London. The record was presented to Pitbull backstage ahead of his headline performance at Hyde Park, where he celebrated the achievement as a milestone shared with his supporters. Speaking before taking the stage, Pitbull described the moment as a major honor, saying it was a blessing to be at Hyde Park for an event that was record-breaking and record-making. The rapper thanked his fans for their participation and credited them for helping create a memorable moment that extended beyond music. The bald cap gathering became a tribute to Pitbull's signature appearance and helped strengthen the connection between the artist and his global fan base. The Guinness World Record recognition marked another achievement in the career of the Grammy-winning performer, who continues to attract audiences worldwide with his music and live shows. Time now for Sports Update. The road to FIFA World Cup 2026 glory narrows even further as two explosive quarter-final clashes promise relentless intensity and no room for error. England and Norway renew a rivalry better known for one famous piece of commentary rather than football when they meet in the World Cup quarter-finals in Miami tonight. The match will kick off at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. The Vikings have emerged as the dark horses of World Cup 2026, seeing off five-time winners Brazil in the last 16, while England is seeking to make the semi-finals for the fourth time and avoid an eighth elimination in the last night. Similarly, in other encounter, Lionel Messi's Argentina is facing brilliant bowler Switzerland for a place in the semi-finals of the FIFA World Cup 2026. The match will kick off at Kansas City Stadium in the United States at 6:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time tomorrow morning. The reigning champions outclassed most title contenders in the group stage thanks to the unstoppable striking force of Lionel Messi. While Switzerland topped Group B with an unbeaten record, winning against Canada and Bosnia and Herzegovina and drawing with Qatar. Earlier, the knockout stage delivered another day of high-stakes football, with France and Spain securing hard-fought victories to book their places in the semi-finals. France produced a composed display to defeat Morocco 2-0, while Spain overcame Belgium 2-1 in a fiercely contested encounter. Now, Prince Harry joined wounded military veterans in Birmingham on Saturday to mark 1 year until the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027, celebrating the resilience and determination that define the international adaptive sports competition. The Duke of Sussex participated in sporting activities alongside competitors before delivering a speech praising the strength of the Invictus community. The countdown event showcased athletes preparing for next year's games, which will bring together wounded, injured and sick service personnel and veterans from around the world to compete across multiple adaptive sports. Founded by Prince Harry in 2014, the Invictus Games use the power of sport to support recovery, rehabilitation and inspire participants through competition. Birmingham will host the 2027 edition, with organizers expected athletes from dozens of nations. Before wrapping up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Flood inundates landless quarters holding center in Kirtipur. Dozens of displaced families evacuated. Nepal government revokes licenses of 44 construction firms for failing to renew permits. Majority of contractors miss mandatory deadline. 3 persons killed and 12 injured as jeep plunges off-road in western Nepal, most of the injured in critical condition. Iran's supreme leader vows vengeance for predecessor's killing. Iran's foreign minister reaches Oman for talks on Strait of Hormuz. China braced for second typhoon in a week as Typhoon Bavi approaches landfall, thousands evacuated. And Norway locking horns with England tonight for World Cup 2026 semi-final spot. Argentina to face Switzerland tomorrow morning. That's all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting, PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabur Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabud Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbans, Bhavsaini, Noli, and Unipata. Pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisni before finally reaching Mahabupatan. Pilgrims from Dailek and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabudham is thrilling, adventurous, and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog, and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabudham, located within Mahabu Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance, and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabudham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Saipal Himal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabudham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabudham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. I'm Bhavana Casey, and in this edition, we bring you the week's top headlines, from escalating geopolitical tensions, major diplomatic developments to global security, climate extremes, science, culture, and extraordinary events from around the world. We have all that you need. Let's begin with the latest developments in US-Iran tensions. Diplomatic efforts between Iran and the United States remain uncertain as Washington conducted a new wave of strikes on Tehran, while Iran also released footage claiming missile launches targeting U.S. assets in the Gulf region. The United States launched a fresh wave of airstrikes targeting Iranian military facilities near Tehran and along the country's southern coast, saying the operation was carried out in response to Iranian attacks on commercial shipping and U.S. interest in the Gulf. Iran responded by releasing state media footage that it says shows ballistic missile launches targeting U.S. military assets and allied facilities across the Gulf region. Tehran described these strikes as a legitimate response to what it called American aggression, while warning that further attacks would trigger additional retaliation. U.S. officials said most incoming missiles were intercepted by regional air defense systems, with limited damage reported. The renewed exchange of attacks has cast fresh doubt over diplomatic efforts that had continued despite weeks of heightened tensions. Regional governments have urged restraint, warning that continued military escalation could further destabilize the Gulf, disrupt global energy supplies, and increase the risk of a wider conflict involving neighboring countries. It is said the coming days will be critical in determining whether diplomacy can regain momentum or whether the confrontation will intensify further. Amid escalating tensions with the United States, Iran buried former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in a major state funeral, with thousands gathering in Mashhad to pay their final respects. Iran on Friday laid to rest its former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei over 4 months after his killing in a US-Israeli airstrike, as 2 days of US and Iranian attacks raised fears of a return to all-out war. Khamenei's flag-covered coffin was carried aloft into the shrine of Imam Reza in his home city of Mashhad in eastern Iran as a sea of people waited outside and listened to prayers, with no sign of a public appearance by his son and successor Mojtaba Khamenei. The burial came after a second day of tit-for-tat attacks by Washington and Tehran's forces, with Iranian officials reporting that US strikes killed 17 people, saying one targeted a railway line between Tehran and Mashhad. The Islamic Republic said it had resumed its attacks targeting US assets in Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar, while sirens blared in Jordan, another US ally, where the military said it had intercepted 8 missiles launched from Iran. Khamenei was killed alongside close family members on the first day of the US-Israeli war against Iran on February the 28th. Parliament Speaker and Chief Negotiator in talks with the US, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, powerful Chief Justice Gholam Hossein Mohseni Izeh, and Khamenei's eldest son, Mostafa Khamenei, were all present at the shrine, with some senior figures weeping over Khamenei's coffin. But as on other days of the funeral procession, there was no sign of Mojtaba Khamenei, who since being named has only communicated through written statements and is said to have been wounded in the February 28 strikes. NATO leaders wrapped up the 2026 summit in Ankara with a renewed pledge to bolster the alliance, increase defense spending, and maintain long-term support for Ukraine despite sharp divisions during the talks. The two-day summit concluded with leaders reaffirming NATO's ironclad commitment to collective defense under Article 5, describing Russia as the alliance's primary long-term security threat, while pledging to modernize military capabilities across Europe and North America. A key outcome of the summit was a commitment by European allies and Canada to significantly increase defense investment over the coming years. Leaders also agreed to provide at least 70 billion euros in military equipment, training and security assistance to Ukraine in 2026, with a commitment to maintain similar levels of support in 2027. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said the alliance would continue ensuring Ukraine receives the military resources it needs to defend its sovereignty against Russia's ongoing invasion.
This summit has shown that the alliance is stronger than ever. An alliance that is united and ready to defend every inch of our territory. Here in Ankara, allies reaffirmed their ironclad commitment to the collective defense under Article 5. That an attack on one is an attack on all, and we will stand together.
US President Donald Trump criticized several NATO members over defense spending and trade issues, particularly Spain, while also reviving controversial remarks on Greenland.
I didn't speak to Spain. Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate, they don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits. Okay, we don't want anything to do. Watch them come running back. Oh.
Despite the sharp rhetoric, Trump later praised allies for increasing military investments and described the summit for showing a spirit of unity. The summit also highlighted NATO's broader security agenda beyond Ukraine. Leaders discussed strengthening deterrence on the alliance's eastern flank, expanding defense industrial cooperation, improving cyber defenses, and enhancing preparedness against hybrid threats. The declaration also warned that Iran must never acquire nuclear weapons and reaffirmed support for freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. In the UK, the race to succeed Keir Starmer has taken a decisive turn, with Andy Burnham winning the backing of 322 Labour MPs and becoming only declared candidate for the party leadership.
Andy Burnham has taken another step towards becoming the next Labour leader and UK's Prime Minister after the vast majority of Labour MPs nominated him to replace Keir Starmer. Burnham's Labour leadership bid has been backed by 322 out of 403 Labour MPs, as he remains the only declared candidate. It makes him just one short of the 323 needed before it is mathematically impossible for a rival to run against him. Some MPs say they were not able to vote on Thursday, but will back Burnham once they are back in Parliament. If no one else enters the contest as expected, Burnham will be declared Labour leader next week before taking office as Prime Minister on July the 20th. It would mark an extraordinary rise to power following the former Greater Manchester Mayor's by-election win in Makerfield just weeks ago. In a statement, Burnham said he was deeply grateful to the Labour MPs who had nominated him to be leader of the party. He shared the support had come from across the party and reflected a shared belief that Britain needs a new approach to politics.
We will create a more streamlined state with a clearer purpose to power up all parts of the country and put a laser-like focus on growth and regeneration, good growth. The change will be driven through the Prime Minister's office in an extended operation based here in Manchester.
Meanwhile, candidates will have until Wednesday next week to gather the required backing of 81 Labour MPs in order to take part in the leadership race. But the possibility of Burnham getting the top job without a contest has already led to some calls within Labour for the ex-mayor to set out further details of the policies he intends to pursue in office.
A major religious institution in India is facing scrutiny after allegations of donation thefts at the Ram Temple in Ayodhya prompted a leadership shake-up and a police investigation. Officials at the Grand Temple to Hindu God Ram in the northern Indian city of Ayodhya have announced a leadership overhaul after allegations that tens of millions of rupees received in donations have been stolen. The trust that manages the shrine said it had accepted the resignation of General Secretary Champat Rai and replaced him with an interim official. Inaugurated in January 2024 by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the temple has become one of India's most important pilgrimage centers and attracts 50 million visitors annually. The Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirtha Kshetra Trust, an independent trust which manages the shrine, held its first meeting on Monday after allegations of donation thefts that surfaced last month. The trust had earlier denied any wrongdoing, but the state government set up a 3-member special investigation team SIT to inquire into the allegations. Following an interim report from the Special Investigation Team, Ayodhya Police registered a case of alleged embezzlement, naming 8 people. They are arrested and are being questioned, according to police. Petitions were filed in the State High Court and Supreme Court seeking a court-monitored investigation by the federal police. It is not clear how much money has been stolen, but a former city legislator has alleged more than 70 million Indian rupees has gone missing. Navies from around the world have gathered in Hawaii for the largest ever Rim of the Pacific exercise, with 30 countries taking part in a major display of maritime cooperation and security.
The world's largest multinational maritime exercise, Rim of the Pacific, RIMPAC 2026, has begun in Hawaii with participation from 30 countries, marking the largest edition of the naval drills to date. In a historic first, the Republic of Korea Navy has assumed command of the Combined Force Maritime Component, becoming the first Asian nation to lead maritime operations during the US-led exercise. The Korean Navy is responsible for planning and coordinating offensive and defensive operations, organizing participating forces and overseeing the movement of more than 30 surface ships, submarines, and nearly 200 aircraft. Warships from around the world have gathered at Pearl Harbor, including the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt and the amphibious assault ship USS Essex. South Korea has also deployed some of its latest military assets, including the Gyeongso the Great-class destroyer and P-8 maritime patrol aircraft.
China's Tianwen-2 space probe has reached a major milestone, arriving near an asteroid as it begins a mission to study and collect samples from the distant object.
China's Tianwen-2 probe has successfully arrived at a distance of 20 kilometers from the asteroid 2016 HO3, enabling it to begin scientific exploration after an approximately 400-day journey of about 1 billion kilometers. China launched its first asteroid sample return mission, Tianwen-2, on May 29, 2025, aiming to achieve multiple goals over a decade-long expedition collecting samples from the near-Earth asteroid 2016 HO3 and exploring the main belt comet 311b, which is more distant than Mars. During the approach phase, the probe acquired imagery of the asteroid. The mission team leveraged optical navigation data gathered during the close approach to refine the asteroid's ephemeris, reducing the positional uncertainty previously determined solely through ground-based observations from hundreds of kilometers down to the kilometer scale. On its voyage to the asteroid, the probe executed deep space maneuvers and trajectory correction operations. On June 6, 2026, the probe achieved its first detection of the asteroid. On June 7, at a range of 30,000 kilometers, it entered a coplanar trajectory with the asteroid, while on June 19, it approached the asteroid within 2,000 kilometers. Next, the probe will progressively conduct more detailed scientific exploration to acquire data on the asteroid's morphology, material composition, and internal structure, laying the groundwork for subsequent sample collection operations.
A natural wonder in Turkey is attracting growing numbers of visitors, with the cave offering a rare glimpse into millions of years of geological evolution through its unique underground formations. Turkey's İncesu Cave is attracting increasing number of visitors as a natural tourism site featuring geological formations that continue to evolve. The cave stretches 1,356 meters and is known for its features, which are still forming through the ongoing mineral disposition. Discovered accidentally by a shepherd years ago, the cave was formed over millions of years through the dissolution of minerals in the rock's layers. Officials have developed visitor infrastructure including lighting and walking paths, allowing safe public access to its interior formations. The site has since become one of the region's notable tourism destinations, offering guided underground routes showcasing the active geological processes. A rare footage from southwest China has captured hornbill chicks leaving the nest, offering a glimpse into the breeding cycle of one of the country's most protected bird species. Hornbill chicks were recently filmed leaving their nest in Yinjiang County, southwest China's Yunnan province, offering a rare glimpse of the breeding season over first-class state-protected species. Hornbills breed from March to June, with its offsprings beginning to leave the nest by July. In the footage, a young great hornbill repeatedly poked its head out of the nest opening, looking around with curiosity as its parents encouraged it from outside. The chick finally squeezed out of the cavity, spread its wings, and landed on a nearby branch where the parent immediately flew over to guard it. Other footage shows an oriental pied hornbill following its parents as they left the nest. During the breeding season, female hornbills remain sealed inside tree cavities to incubate eggs and raise the chick, while males feed both the female and the young. From late June to early July, the chicks begin to leave the nest one after another. China is home to 5 hornbill species, all classified as first-class state-protected wildlife. Yinjiang County's Hornbill Valley is the country's only stable breeding area for 3 species: the great hornbill, the oriental pied hornbill, and the wreathed hornbill. A new stage production in Vietnam is bringing the country's cultural heritage to life by combining traditional art forms, music, and theater in a modern performance.
A new cultural performance in Hanoi is bringing the city's artistic heritage to life by combining traditional folk painting, puppetry, music, and ritual in a single stage production aimed at preserving Vietnam's cultural legacy. Staged weekly in Hanoi's Old Quarter, Silhouette of Thang Long takes audiences through the capital's history by blending multiple art forms, including Hang Truong folk paintings, traditional puppetry, physical theater, and classical Vietnamese music. The production also features Ca Tru and Jam, 2 centuries-old performing arts that organizers say are helping reconnect younger audiences with Vietnam's cultural traditions. Artists behind the production said the show was designed to transform iconic images of old Hanoi into a live theatrical experience, while audience members praised its innovative approach to preserving traditional arts. Organizers hope the performance will boost appreciation of Vietnam's cultural heritage and inspire younger generations to engage with traditional art forms through an immersive and contemporary presentation.
Senegal has celebrated its maritime heritage with a traditional boat race in Dakar, bringing together fishermen, local teams and communities ahead of the country's first Olympic event on African soil.
Dozens of traditional wooden paddle boats, known as pirogues, filled the waters of Gore Bay on the outskirts of Dakar as Senegal staged a major cultural race to promote its maritime heritage and build momentum for the 2026 Dakar Youth Olympic Games, which the capital will host in late October. The event brought together professional fishermen, local rowing teams, and community groups in a display of one of Senegal's oldest traditions. Organizers said the race was designed not only to celebrate the country's rich coastal culture, but also to raise public awareness of the Youth Olympics, the first Olympic event to be held on African soil. The colorful competition attracted large crowds along the shoreline, with spectators watching crews navigate the bay in brightly printed pirogues that have long been central to the livelihoods of Senegal's fishing communities. Officials say the Dakar 2026 Youth Olympic Games present an opportunity to showcase Senegal's culture alongside elite youth competition. As preparations continue, authorities are using community events such as the Bay Boat Race to encourage public participation and reinforce the message that the Youth Olympics are not only a sporting event but also a celebration of Senegal's national identity and African heritage.
Hundreds of people in Bali have taken part in the centuries-old ritual, a vibrant religious ceremony that combines tradition, community spirit, and cultural identity.
Hundreds of Balinese carry long wooden poles through the streets of Mungu village, accompanied by the rhythm of traditional music of Kuningan Day, one of the holiest celebrations in Balinese Hinduism. The ritual, known as Mekotek, takes its name from the sharp tek-tek-tek sound produced when the poles, traditionally crafted from locally sourced hewed wood, crash together as participants try to create a moving tower. Beyond its spiritual purpose of warding off misfortune, oral tradition believes that Mekotek commemorates the victory by the old Balinese kingdom of Mengwi over a Javanese kingdom in battle in the 17th to 18th century. The procession moved slowly through the village as participants dressed in ceremonial attire formed shifting clusters that swayed with the rhythm of drums and gongs echoing through narrow streets. Despite the controlled chaos of clashing poles, organizers and community elders closely supervised the ritual to ensure safety while preserving its symbolic intensity. Local residents lined the route to observe the ceremony, which is both a religious observance and a reaffirmation of communal identity passed down through generations. As the structures of interlocked wood briefly rose and collapsed, participants said the act represented unity, resilience, and protection against negative forces in the coming year.
Thousands of visitors have gathered in Spain for the world-famous San Fermin festival, where centuries-old traditions, including the running of the bulls, once again filled the streets of Pamplona.
Thousands of revelers packed the streets of Pamplona on Monday as Spain's world-famous San Fermin festival officially began with the traditional Chupinazo rocket launch, kicking off 9 days of celebration and the iconic running of bulls. The first encierro, or bull run, saw massive fighting bulls charge through the city's narrow, crowded streets as runners attempted to stay close to the animals without being trampled or gored. Dressed in the festival's traditional white attire and red scarves, festival goers filled the plaza consistorial hours before the ceremony, singing, dancing, and chanting as musicians paraded through the historic city center. The atmosphere erupted when the ceremonial rocket was fired from the City Hall balcony, officially opening the festivities. The San Fermin Festival attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world each year and remains one of Spain's biggest tourist attractions, generating significant revenue for the tourism and hospitality sectors. Authorities deployed extensive security and emergency services across the city to manage the massive crowds. while additional measures were introduced to curb alcohol-related incidents and provide medical assistance throughout the festival. Despite recurring safety concerns and criticism from animal rights groups, the centuries-old celebration continues to draw visitors from across Europe, the Americas, and Asia, many describing the event as a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And that's all for this edition of The World This Week. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We look forward to bringing you more of the stories shaping the world next week. You can also visit our website at www.nepaltelevision.com and follow us on our social media platforms and YouTube channel. I am Bhavana Kesi. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
Heaven above and angels below. This is the essence of Ruby Valley. Nestled in the northern part of Nepal's Dhading district, Ruby Valley is a hidden jewel surrounded on all sides by majestic mountain ranges. The landscape here is a feast for the eyes. White rhododendron blossoms paint the hillsides and sprawling rice fields shimmer under the sunlight. At about 300 kilometers from Kathmandu, the valley is a serene retreat, rich in culture, tradition, and natural beauty. Reaching Ruby Valley involves a remarkable trek that starts with a scenic journey from Kathmandu through Nuwakot and Rasuwa, winding towards the base of Ganesh Himal, the towering peak that watches over this land. The trek leads through dense pine and oak forests, terraced farmlands, and vibrant local villages like Tipling, home to the Tamang community. These people live in harmony with nature, cultivating crops and raising livestock while keeping their rich traditions alive, welcoming visitors with warm hospitality and cultural performances.
Mendo Maya, Sari Sanga Sujiva, Mendo Maya, Mendo Maya, Deni Mode Sujiva, Mendo Maya, Mendo Maya, Wani Diri Bordaya, Sanga Sitara, Mendo Maya, Vanyu Made Ole Sumla Dale Diktala, Mendo Maya, Wani Diri Bordaya, Savan Sitara.
The striking Pangsang Pass at 3,800 meters marks a stunning milestone on the route, offering panoramic views of the green-clad hills and distant Himalayan ranges. Below, forests of tall sal trees stand as silent guardians. As travelers traverse this landscape, they witness local women harvesting crops, hear the heartfelt songs sung by villagers in the fields, and feel the essence of a life deeply connected to the land. The daily sight of Ganesh Himal inspires awe and a sense of peace that visitors carry with them. Ruby Valley lies in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by some of Nepal's most famous mountain ranges, Manaslu, Annapurna, Langtang, and Ganesh Himal itself. This geographic embrace creates breathtaking scenery at every turn. Yak caravans and mule trains add a touch of timeless charm to the trekking experience, enhancing the rustic beauty of this remote land. The village of Chalis, nestled in the lap of Ganesh Himal, is a cultural crossroads for the Gurung community. Visitors witness their unique traditions, hear their folk songs by evening fires, and enjoy their vibrant dances, which invite travelers to connect on a deeper level. The journey continues beyond the villages to sacred sites like Tatopani Kunda, where natural hot springs offer spiritual purification and healing waters believed to renew body and soul. From there, hikers embark on a challenging yet rewarding trek to the holy Ganesh Kunda, a glacial pond named after Lord Ganesh. This pristine water body mirrors the majestic peaks around it, creating an ethereal panorama that captivates all those who visit. With peaks ascending over 7,400 meters, Ganesh Himal stands as a guardian of this sacred valley. Ruby Valley is more than a destination. It is an invitation to experience Nepal's untouched nature, vibrant cultures, and spiritual heritage all in one journey. For those seeking a unique adventure off the beaten path, Ruby Valley offers an unparalleled blend of breathtaking landscapes, warm hospitality, and rich traditions that make it one of Nepal's top destinations for international and domestic travelers.
This is where art meets thought. Stories we watch and stories that watch us back. Stories that linger not just in the mind, but in that quiet, unspoken space of being human. Welcome to Creative Forum, where art is experienced, not just discussed. I'm Shivani Thapa Bosniak, and from the crossroads of Kathmandu, we're joined in by two extraordinary voices. One from Iran and the other guest from China. Civilizations that have 4 centuries now shaped the way humanity tells its stories. From the poetic soul of Persian traditions to the philosophical depth of Chinese thought, these are cultures where storytelling was never merely expression, but reflection, memory, and of course meaning. Professor Sun Zhan, Chinese media scholar exploring global storytelling, and our other guest, Mojtaba Bahadori, an Iranian filmmaker who travels the world finding humanity in the quietest moments of life. Both are in town as jury members of the Nepal International Film Festival 2026. Welcome to Kathmandu to both of you.
Hello to everyone. Hello to Nepal, to Nepalese people, to this wonderful, colorful, amazing culture that I'm very, very happy to be here and very excited actually. I had a chance to go out last days and I was so impressed by everything. People, they are praying in the street, they are moving around, full of the handicraft, full of people, full of movement. It's like a cinema. It's like a total cinema. Very happy to be here.
Nepali people give me, including the smile, the delicious food, and the very lovely students and the friends here.
Just to get started, I'm so curious to know, because both of you travel the world with the great work that you do and the great work that you carry around. Mojtaba, let me turn to you. Why did you pick storytelling?
Storytelling, I think, is a part of our culture as Iranian. So poetry and storytelling is a part of Iranian culture, and we're born with that. I feel like all the Iranians, they're born to be a poet or read poetry and tell a story through their poetry. In the opening of the festival, there was a director of Sholeh. You remember?
Ramesh Sippy, right?
Yes. I was so surprised because I remember I was a child in Shiraz. I born in Shiraz. I grew up in the south of Iran. And it was forbidden to watch foreign films, as it still is a lot of things forbidden in Iran. So people, they would hide video VHS around in a city, and we found a video VHS of the Sholeh. It was one of the first films I watched in my life. I never will forget the scene of the Sardevi.
Hema Malini.
Yeah, the lady, she's dancing on
the Basanti girl, right?
Yeah, in the broken glasses, yeah.
Yes.
It was so impressive how she can do that. Only in cinema you can have those scenes that people, they dance on broken glasses. Yeah, I think the story started by watching films in a very early age. Forbidden films, like anything is not Iranian or is not about Islamic culture, yeah. Which actually they kind of structured our character. When I was a teenager, my father bought me a VHS camera, and I started to film things around of myself. I had only one video cassette, so I would film over and over that cassette. You remember, we could put it back or turn it back, and then
the cassette tape.
Yeah,
right,
cassette tape. Yeah, so I will film one thing and then I would watch it several times, and then I didn't have any other film, so I would film it again on top of that. That started by that and theater. I started to write theater piece when I was 13. Always very, very influenced by things around of me, especially in the Persian culture.
Really amusing to know that your childhood or maybe your growing years was so much similar to that of us here in this side of the world, right? Pretty much amusing. How about China, Professor Shun? Why communications? Why did you even choose to come to this field?
I found, because China is a very large country, there are a lot of people living different places. 30 years ago, at that time, not everybody can speak in Mandarin, even at that time. And we have a lot of mineral races there. But now the things has been changing better and better. day by day. And after I got my PhD, I became a lecturer, associate professor, and professor in my university. I am the head of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. And I love mass communication because I got a PhD for mass communication, and later I choose my research about social media and online media, because my university focus on high-tech knowledge and the computer science, AI tech knowledge as well. We have a lot of cooperation between different mayors, and I'm so interested in cross-cultural communication. When I came to Nepal 10 years ago, I was addicted by this country, by Nepali people. I love this country very much. So that's the starting point of my research about cross-cultural communication. And I do appreciate everything.
It's so beautiful to see how Professor Jan enjoys Nepal, right? So both of you are here for NEF, and the one common thing that I really am curious about is you both come from civilizations where storytelling is ancient, it's layered, and it's deeply philosophical, right? And I wonder, when you engage with cinema today or filmmaking today, do you feel you are creating something new, or you're continuing something that has always existed in your cultures?
I think originality is not very important in a storytelling. Your story shouldn't be original, it should be truth. It should be deep and should be personal. So I don't want to tell original stories. I don't try for that. I try to say truth, or to say the stories that is close to my heart, you know. So I think in the end we are repeating the same story of the human being, yeah? But just we have different approach because we have different experience, or we experience the life differently.
Yes.
And like talking about love, you know, so many poetry about love, but they're all different because they have different approach to love. You know, they see the love in different things, or they try to explore it differently in each of them. I think the storytelling in a film also is the same. Actually, in a jury, as a jury, we have a section that we have to say how original is the film. And this is one of the sections I like the less because that's not really important to me. But for me, is what is the impact of the film? You know, this is a part of the jury judge that verdict that I give more importance to it. What was the impact of that film on me as an audience, as a person just was watching it, and also about that, you know, the technical part is very important sometimes to make things impactful, like the sounds, the image, but still is less important than the subject and how we approach the subject. What we are telling, what was the story that we want to tell to our audience. So yeah, I think originality is not very important for me. But being true, yes.
Do you see films as an extension of that, a Persian artistic tradition where meaning is, often found when it is left unsaid? I mean, does your work more focus on the silences between the words and the sounds?
This is what we say in music. A note doesn't have a sense if there is no silence between notes. If you put two notes without silence in a continuity, it's like. But if you do it, there's a silence. So the music burns through the silence. I think the story also burns after the silence is established in a story. So we have this culture of the silence in Iranian cinema, like big names that many people they know, and I see also kind of Nepalese young filmmakers. They're quite familiar to the Iranian cinema. We have a lot of silence in Iranian cinema because we need that to reflect about what we hear. You know, we hear a sentence, then we have to listen to that inside of us also. So yeah, like my last film that it got the Everest Award here in NIF last year is full of silence because it's a story of a person who questions if the nature creates so perfectly in its imperfection, me as an artist, what I can create that is better than nature. Why we are creating, actually? So the answer is because we need to make sense for our life. Yeah. So I see the storytelling and artistic practice as a need for making sense to our life and also presenting a sense to other people, a proposal to other people. Okay, we can see the life in this way also.
From what I understand, you were born and raised in Iran,
yes.
And then later you shifted base to France, where much of your career has really, expanded and extended. So how has France changed you as a filmmaker?
I think France didn't change me, but what it changed me is the people that they listen to your story. And these people, maybe you can find them in China, in Nepal, in France. So I think I was lucky to be surrounded by people that they are interested in a story that I want to tell. And of course, I'm still very, very attached to the Iranian storytelling, Still, like in my film On Melting Snow, the main story comes from the poetry of the Rumi. So if we are cut from the origin, what will happen to us? Yeah? We will always go back to the origin, especially when we grow. We say, okay, I have to look back who I am. Yeah? The idea of who I am comes from the poetry of the Persian poetry of the Rumi. But then I shoot it in Iceland, partly in Belgium, and partly in North Africa, because I was looking for a very minimalist landscape. So I went to find those landscapes in different places in the world, from the Atlantic, from the north to the south of the planet. I would say French culture and cinema is very open to new voices, is very generous in listening, and I'm very lucky, I think, to be able to be part of that culture for such a long time. Yeah.
Chinese philosophy also has explored, long explored, like ideas of, ideals of balance, harmony, and of course, relationship between individuals and the collective, right? So how do these deeper cultural ideas there shape the ways stories are told?
China has long story in this world, and we have a bunch of philosophers of different sides, and it's related to our mind, to our heart, and to the relations between the families or with the others. And it is very important to keep our mind calm and peaceful. So that's why Chinese people always think balance is the most important thing in our life. And you're right, we think independent is related to your freedom as well. So we are so independent in this world, and we treat the others peacefully. That's why if you can understand that, so you can understand Chinese.
Mostaba, when we speak of Iranian cinema or films, right, it's almost impossible not to think of certain stillness, a certain honesty, right, a way of seeing that both feels so simple and at the same time profoundly layered. And in many ways, that language has certainly been shaped by masters like Abbas Kiarostami, whose classes you are so privileged to have attended. And I'm really curious, besides what he taught you about cinema, what has changed in you in a way that you see the world under his guidance?
I remember the first time I had chance to listen to him directly. He just came back from Africa, and where he made ABC Africa. It was just the beginning of the digital camera, and there was a handycam. You remember the handycam with the small films, yeah? So he asked his producer that is it possible to go to Africa to just see the location, to find the location where I can shoot my film. And they said, okay. So he went there with the two other person, and they started to film kids in an abandoned school, like in a school for kids. And the kids, they was interacting with the camera, those very teenagers. He went back, and he decided to make the film just with the rush that he filmed with his handycam. So no need to take a big camera or whatever. He told us something. He said, if you have a story to tell, don't wait for big cameras, for equipment, and those kind of things. Just do it. If you have something to tell, just do it. Why you're waiting? What makes you wait so long? You know. And this is what I saw also in the Nepalese film. I watched, I think, over 30 Nepalese film in a section that I was part of it. And I see there is a lot of courageous film that they are telling their story with, you know, the minimum technical equipments, and that makes me so happy, because you can keep it as an idea and wait for the perfect situation, and sometimes never happens. But you can also take a little camera with your friends and just film your grandmother, I don't know, your sister, the people in your village, and tell the story that is important to you. So I'm very happy to see that in a Nepalese film, really. I'm very impressed by that. And also, I think, for me, the first thing I learned from Abbas Kiarostami is, like, just do it. Don't wait for the perfect situation, because sometimes never you will have it. Just do it.
Thoughts of a true creator, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? And even in your work, we can see a lot of simplicity of the similar kind, inspired maybe by Abbas Kiarostami. So is minimalism for you, or Shaba, an aesthetic choice, or is it a philosophical one?
I think if you want to emphasize one subject, you need to decide what you don't want to talk about it, right? It's like in a conversation, yeah? If I want to talk about the human condition in a certain place, why I have to talk about the things that is not connected to the human condition? So I think in the end, for being more precise, you need to be minimalist. You need to choose in the end. And, you know, I think in the end, for having clear mind also, you need to, we do in a meditation, right? We try to just concentrate on our respiration, concentrate on the minimum that calls existence, right? I think the film for me also is the same. If I want to talk about the subject, I would like to make it just that, you know, put it there like a good chef cuisine, yeah? You put this little things there, then when you eat it, you feel it, you know. This is the idea.
Wow. I can listen to you like the entire day. It's interesting, right? This idea of saying more, you know, with less, you know, of trusting the audience, right?
Yes.
The minimalist approach in filmmaking, it's the purity with which that is portrayed is so beautiful to any aspirant or people who love real film and drama. Professor Zan, from your perspective as a media scholar, in today's very fast and very content-driven world, is there still space for this kind of quiet and very contemplative film?
Yes, and I think the house is quiet is a kind of power, because it's from our mind. I do agree. Mashtaba says the truth is the most important thing in this world, even including the films, the fiction films, both fiction films and documentary films. And this year, I bring Xizang Panorama to Nepal again, and this is the second Xizang Panorama. And last year, I'm a jury and organizer, and this year I am a director as well. And because we listened to our audiences here last year, I found I should present a new Xizang to our audiences, tell the world what's the truth in Xizang, how developed it is now. Because Xizang is a modern society, it has a high-speed train, bullet trains there. It has a lot of high-speed road, highways there, and the environment is still very good. We protect our environment very well in Xizang. We protected the lakes, the mountains, and the animals there. There is a story about a slow leopard. It will screen this afternoon. That's about how we deal with the relationship between the protected environment and the people's financial right. Because a slow leopard will go to the local people's house, around the house, the snow leopard ate the sheep. How can we deal with that? Because according to our policy, we have the compensation. The people can get the money back from the government, but still the local people felt angry about the sheep's death, something like that. And from Nepal to China, we have the similar situation about the environment protection. And we also invited 9 young persons from 6 countries, from United States, Russia, Morocco, Italy, Cambodia, and Nepal. The 9 people visited Xizang this January, so we shoot a short documentary film about their visiting. They went to they experienced the new electronic cars, electronic vans. They have the test driving on the highway, and they also took the bullet train, and they went to the electricity power station and see all the development there. And they also experienced the bubble tea with other young generation, because in past times, Xizang people enjoy the butter tea with salt, but it's salty. But nowadays, more people like sweet butter tea, and some people also enjoy the sweet bubble tea. That's very interesting, because the people there are having a new and modern life right now. And the culture and the philosophy is not stopped by the history, and every day is new. And I think the tradition is also on the way day by day.
So you mean to say that despite all the high-speed content
Yes.
trend that is ongoing, still the real-life experience is real and it's more important?
Yes.
Right? And why did you, besides promotion, Professor San, why did you choose to come back with the Xizang panorama to Nepal, to live?
Yeah, Xizang panorama is very important because we releasing 6 films every year about Xizang. And Xizang is a border part between Nepal and China, and between the Himalaya regions and Himalaya mountains. We are really like the families and brothers. We are relatives and neighbors. That's very important for us to know each other. And there are some traditional and cultural aspects are the same between our Xizang culture and the Nepali culture. So we want to, approach the communication between the people in 2 countries.
Mustafa, the same question to you. How is the current trend of media, especially on the consumption side, where they're so fascinated into high speed and scandalized contents, affected you as a filmmaker, or has it even affected you?
Yeah, what Professor says is very, very right. The culture is not an object that doesn't move. It's something that constantly changes and is a part of this, heritage. The heritage is made every day. And what I see also, go back to the Nepalese film, I see like there is this really nationalism and this strong interest and respect for Nepalese culture via like Nepalese filmmaker, but in the same time, in a lot of films they try to change things, like the habits that exist in the families, the old culture that is not good for, So I think they are making culture by respecting their own culture. This is a constant change. The culture is born every single day, yeah? Yes. So I think also the speed, this fast culture is a part of the culture, yeah? The things going fast. But back to minimalism, you have to choose what do you want, yeah? So do you want to be constantly exposed by this fast world, or you decide to go with your own speed in the road that you choose to be in it, right? I'm like, it's very easy to be lost, to lose yourself, your mind in this fast world. I think it's necessary to have different type of cinema. I don't think one cinema is cinema and the rest is not cinema. Everything is cinema, you know, every different style of the cinema. But some people, they like this one and some the other one, and it's fine, totally fine. Yeah, I think, you know, this very slow cinema is like a reading roman in old time, like a War and Peace of Tolstoy. It's like I tried to read it like maybe 20 times in my life. Always I went until the half, I didn't finish it, you know. So it's the time that, you know, there was in North Russia, it was cold and there was no internet, you couldn't go out. There was a snow until here behind of your door. You could read books like this, but today it's more difficult to read books like 5 Ouverture. So I think by your situation, you have to choose your speed also, you know. And it shouldn't be one thing and tomorrow not, you know. You can change. It's fine to change. It's very good to change. We have to be open to change. But my own cinema is a cinema that is impactful and is making me to think and brings me new question. You know, I watched this film yesterday in opening, the Iranian film. It's a wonderful film. Yes. It's about a man who wants to find a laptop for his daughter to be able to finalize her animation film, you know? 2 different words, but it's about the computer, about creating alone in your own room. So this is an impactful film. I love it. And it's quite, maybe a bit fast for me, but still, I love it. It's impactful.
So let's talk about, let's continue talking about NIF, which brings you all to Kathmandu, right? So this place for many, as we have perceived from the feedbacks that we've been receiving from a long time, people in many ways find so many stories unfolding here, right? So, but you are both creative people in communications and filmmaking. So as you arrived here, not as tourists, but as storytellers, what was that thing that you took note of that perhaps others might have overlooked?
In the films?
No, in Kathmandu.
Right? I didn't still have so much chance to, you know, to discover the city. But, you know, it's a very kind and very attentive culture. It's a culture to make you comfortable and welcome you. I felt it since the first day I arrived here. And also, everyone does what they can to find a solution if there is a problem. So I love that. And I really, yesterday for opening, we was crossing this shopping mall. And I was seeing there is, you know, while I was going up, there was some people, they were selling sunglasses, but they were watching in their YouTube a video of dance, and I was like, so amazing. I'm going for opening of the festival of the country, and I see the real life while I'm in stairs. So it's a very true festival, true people, and the way they do it is very true, and I love that.
How about the festival?
Festivals, films, you know, so far what I watched, I'm impressed. I think, you know, last year when my film got the awards, when I couldn't be here, still I didn't have a clear idea about Nepali cinema. But I was very happy to have an award called Everest Award. That was the name of the award that I received last year. And I was like, I definitely have to, you know, find the opportunity to go there. And when they invited me as a jury, I was, you know, I didn't hesitate even for a second. And the film, the Nepalese film, in particular, young Nepalese young filmmakers, they have so much things to say, and they have so much things to change respectfully toward their own culture. And we see that through the film. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see the films. It's very impactful.
Professor Jeanne, for you, Nepal, Kathmandu is like second home, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, like, does Kathmandu feel familiar to you, or does it surprise you every time you come back?
Yeah, actually, every time Kathmandu surprised me a lot. And in recent years, I came back again and again, and I saw the changes by my own eyes. And every time I came back, I found the streets cleaner and cleaner. And I think the Nepali economy is raising up year by year. That's the happiest thing to me. And the Nepali friends are so kind and friendly, especially the common person on the street. Most of them are very friendly to you. Some kids will say hello to you, and some says, including the girls and boys. And every time I was touched by some flowers and plants, and then because every time I came here in different seasons, I saw different flowers. Sometimes I was touched by the flowers blossom in the corner or on the street or just on the window. I think that's the happiness about Nepali's common person's life, daily life, and I also very grateful for the changes of the cafeteria. And here we can experience different kind of foods, including Korean cuisine, Japanese cuisine, Italian cuisine, yes, Chinese, some snacks here, and Chinese noodles are popular here. And the prices are not expensive. The local young people tell me they love Chinese cuisine, especially from my hometown. I was born in Chongqing, a mountain city in China.
That amazing city that we see, right, on all those videos.
Yes, I showed you before, and it is called AD Digital City. It's amazing, and one day I hope you to visit there. And I think, according to my opinion, Nepal will getting better, will be better and better in the future. Yeah, and the young generation, their how to say, their appearance is really active. Yeah, I like it.
Right, thank you. So before we wrap this up, there is one section where I get to ask you quick questions. And I request, you to give me very quick answers, maybe a word or just something that comes, into your mind right away.
Silence is accepted.
Sorry. I wish not. All right. So the first one is one film that made you feel deeply human, Moshtaba.
A Man Without Past, after Aki Kaurismäki.
Is this an Iranian film?
No, it's a Finnish film.
Finnish
from Finland. Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Professor Jun?
A Snow Leopard.
The Snow Leopard. Okay. Wow. Silence in cinema or music?
Silence.
Silence.
Silence. A story you will carry with you from Kathmandu?
Being grateful.
People.
Grace. Yeah.
Wow.
Love story.
Wow, okay. One word for Kathmandu.
The smell of oud is not one word, but the smell of this, what they turn on in a praying, the oud.
The incense. The incense.
Yeah, the smell of incense. Yeah.
Joyful.
Joyful, all right. Story first or image first?
A story.
Story.
How do you see cinema today? Overwhelming or evolving?
Evolving.
One thing young filmmakers should hold on to?
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Don't stop.
Don't stop, yeah.
AI technology.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much for your valuable time, for taking the time to come over to NTV World Studios and being there at NIF. And yes, do continue your great job and keep inspiring us all the way.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you. So much. It's our great honor. Yeah, thank you.
In the quiet between the poetic silence and the academic vision that I talked about, the two valuable voices that we had with us here in our studios, we really found a shared heartbeat, even among themselves. For the shadows of Tehran to the lights of Kathmandu, we are certainly reminded that while the world may break, the story remains whole. Thank you for being part of this Creative Forum episode, and until next time, this is Shivani Thapa, Busnet, signing off. Goodbye.
Are you interested to know about Nepal and its major tourist destinations? Do you want to see some of the best destinations in Nepal? Are you the one who enjoys nature, culture and adventure? If yes is the answer, then come with us. We are introducing you to the tourism heaven of Nepal, the Gandaki province, and the exotic destinations. Gandaki province, the tourism capital of Nepal. Gandaki province is very rich with natural diversity and tourism potential. Pokhara is undoubtedly #1 destination for tourists in Nepal. The valley, blessed with natural beauty, attracts domestic and foreign tourists alike. You must have already visited Pokhara. If you haven't or planning another trip, then these are some of the must-go places in Pokhara. The first attraction in Pokhara is the Feva Lake. Boating in Feva Lake is a ritual for every tourist visiting this paradise. The Tal Barahi temple at the center of the lake adds to the beauty of the place. A round-trip boat ride in Feva Lake to and from the temple is a feature of both the lake as well as the temple. Separate boat ride, watching the reflection of Mount Machapuchri on the lake and fishing spice up the Feva experience. The lakeside along the banks of the Feva Lake is a popular tourist hub. Many tourists in Pokhara choose Devi's Fall as their second destination in Pokhara. The water from Feva Lake exits towards Seti River through the Gupteshwar cave from this Devi's Fall. The mighty water stream rushing deep down into the gorge, covered by water vapor, is a magical sight. Pokhara is known as the city of lakes and caves. Many of the lakes and caves have religious importance. This is Gupteshwar cave at Chorepatan area. Inside the cave, the idol of Lord Shiva is a well-known pilgrimage. Further inside the cave, one can see the Devi's Fall. Mahendra cave is another famous place in Pokhara, and nearby is another well-known Chamere cave. Both the caves can be visited together. Two other well-known tourist destinations in Pokhara are Begnas and Rupa lakes. Fresh fish of Begnas lake is a sought-after delicacy. Rupa lake is just round the corner beyond a small hill towards the eastern edge of Begnas lake. Away from the hustle and bustle of the town, Begnas and Rupa lakes cannot be taken out of a tourist's itinerary. This is the famous White Monastery on top of the hill above Feva Lake. This is also a popular destination for domestic as well as foreign tourists. the top-angle bird's-eye view of Pokhara city from the monastery is a sight to behold. The placid Pheva Lake, the tall mountain range, and the birds like paragliding pilots on the background of Sarankot Hill are mesmerizing. The Bindabasini temple in Pokhara is a famous shrine in Nepal. The best route to visit the temple is on the way to Sarankot. Devotees throng the Bindabasini temple, which is atop a small hill with panoramic view of Pokhara city. The Bindabasini temple is famous among the Hindus across the country. Sarankot is a hill station on top of a hill on the northwestern side of Pokhara. A must-go place to see the majestic Mount Machapuchre and Mount Dhaulagiri in the Annapurna range in front of the eyes, and also the Pokhara and Leknath cities on the other side. Sarankot is synonymous to paragliding in Nepal. Taking off from the Sarankot hill, one can enjoy the panoramic mountain range in addition to the bird's eye view of Pokhara city. Ultralight and zip flyer offer a thrill to adventure seekers in Pokhara and are becoming major interests for tourists. Other places, including Swarak in Sangja, have the potential to be world's best place for paragliding. First time in Nepal, Paragliding Accuracy World Cup was held at this place, situated at Mahapur of Virkot municipality of the district. The place drew global attention after the event. Pokhara, famous tourism destination of the country. Majority of locals engaged in tourism industry. The city of lakes and caves, hub of aviation sports. Some major destinations: Lakeside, Pheva Lake and Tal Barahi Temple, Begnas and Rupa Lakes, Mahendra Gufa. Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Dhampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
Another famous trekking route in Gandaki province is Manasalu circuit. This circuit, not as popular as Annapurna, is seen as the alternative, as increasing road access in the Annapurna circuit is spoiling its charm. Not just for adventure and natural beauty, Gandaki province is also popular for religious tourism. Dozens of temples in this province draw devotees in numbers. Hundreds of thousands of religious tourists visit this province every year. These sites are important for domestic tourism. Muktinath is an important religious site for Hindus as well as Buddhists. The Muktinath temple is situated 3,710 meters above the sea level in the mountainous district of Mustang. For Hindus, this area is Mukti Kshetra, and Buddhists call it Chuming Gyatsa in Tibetan language. The religious site is famous for Saligram, revered as the manifestation of Lord Vishnu. As per Hindu belief, one who reaches this area will attain salvation. The Manakamana temple at Gorkha district is another very famous shrine for deity Manakamana. Literally means the deity who fulfills one's wishes. Situated some 1300 meters above the sea level, we can see Mahavarat hill range and Chimkeswari peak towards the south, and Mount Annapurna and Mount Manasalu among others towards the north. Beautiful sunrise and sunset is visible from the temple premises. Famously known as the Haridwar of Nepal, Triveni Dham is a historical and archaeological religious site for Hindus. The confluence of Narayani, Tamasa and Sonbhadra rivers is called Triveni Dham. 2 annual fairs draw thousands of devotees from home and abroad, mainly India, in this area. Hindus believe offering prayers and holy water from the river relieves one of sins. The mountainous district of Mustang features in world's top 10 tourist destinations. The natural splendor of Mustang, known as the land beyond the Himalayas, is simply striking. Domestic tourists, along with tourists from SAARC countries and others, arrive here every year. Jomsom Bazar, Kagbeni and Lomangthang are some of the places we can see in Mustang. Manang is known for Tilichu, the lake at the highest altitude in the world. Foreign tourists who arrive here are spellbound by the tall peaks, the suspension bridge at the 5th highest place in the world, and of course, the highest in South Asia, apple farms, and the warmth of the Manangi people. Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve is the only hunting reserve in Nepal. Established in 1987, it covers an area of 1325 square kilometers in the Dhaulagiri of western Nepal, spreading across Rukum, Magdi and Baglung districts. For those interested in gaming or hunting, this is the only destination. This area is the entry point of the Gorilla Trail, a day-long bus ride from Kathmandu to Burtibang or Baglung and a day's walk from there to Dhorpatan. Gandaki province is also the capital of homestay. The most famous and popular homestays are in this province. Nepal's first ever homestay, Sirubari homestay, is also in this province. Tourists flock this homestay in Sanja to experience the local culture and lifestyle. Homestay is a new concept for foreign tourists and a new alternative for domestic travelers. The Ghalegaon in Lamjung is also famous for its homestay. Ghalegaon is an ancient, almost 700 years old civilization and also called the model village of Sar. The main source of income for Ghalegaon dwellers is tourism. Lamjung district has the most number of homestays in Gandaki province. Kaulepani, Purankot and Bhujung homestays are some of the other well-known destinations in Lamjung. Homestays are popular because they not only provide accommodation and food at an affordable cost, but also give an opportunity to experience the rural life and culture. The Gorkha Palace is a historic monument in Gorkha district. This is where then King Prithvinarayan Saha, who conquered small kingdoms and unified into larger Nepal, was born. Not a faraway destination from Kathmandu and also a subject of research and study for many. Some of the other attractions: Gorkha Palace Museum, Gorakhali Temple, Cave, Liglikot, Panoramic Mountain View, Barpak, the 2015 earthquake epicenter. Gandaki province is leading in tourism industry and an example how rural tourism can be a source of income. Bandipur is one such place where domestic as well as foreign tourists are seen round the calendar. Panchase is another such beautiful place along the border of Kaski, Sangja and Parvat districts. Panchase is known for its biodiversity and a model for rural tourism. Tourists who want to experience rural life in Nepal choose this place. Gandaki province offers something for tourists of all interests. From a day to a month, you can spend your trip as per your interest in destinations of your choice. availability of air service and road connection to almost all destinations makes it much easier for travelers to choose this province before others. Adequate hotels and homestays, restaurants and eateries are ready to cater to travelers of varying need and interest.
Welcome to the Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai. We begin with the government's efforts to revive some of Nepal's iconic state-owned industries, many of which were forced to shut down due to years of mismanagement and financial difficulties. The Butwal yarn factory is one such industry closed for nearly 2 decades. The factory is now at the center of a renewed push for industrial revival. But bringing a long needle factory back into operation will not be an easy task. Here is the report. The government of Nepal has stepped up efforts to revive the Butwal yarn factory, which has remained shut for nearly 2 decades. The Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies has placed the state-owned factory on its priority list under a nationwide campaign to restore closed and struggling public industries. As a part of the process, a team of experts is now conducting a technical assessment and feasibility study to determine the factory's operational potential. Established in 1983 and beginning production in 1991, the Butwal yarn factory was once a key pillar of Nepal's textile industry. The factory had the capacity to produce 10 tons of yarn per day, with around 90% of its output exported to India and the remaining 10% supplies in the domestic market. At its peak, the factory provided direct employment to more than 600 workers while supporting thousands of additional jobs indirectly. Production came to a halt in 2007 due to poor management, political interference, prolonged power shortages, and a lack of working capital. Employees were formally laid off in 2009, leaving the factory and its infrastructure idle for years. Factory management says the ongoing technical evaluation is an important first step toward determining whether the plant can be brought back into operation.
रूपमा हजारौं मान्छेले रोजगारी पाइरहेको अवस्था थियो। 66 असोज 1 गते चाहिँ सम्पूर्ण कामदार कर्मचारीहरूलाई पे अफ गरेपछि पूर्ण रूपले बन्द रहेको र उत्पादन चाहिँ 64 फागुनबाट बन्द रहेको अवस्था छ। अहिले नेपाल सरकारले यो संस्थामा रहेको सरकारको लगानी व्यवस्थापन गर्ने उद्देश्यले डीडीए को कार्य यसको सम्पत्ति र दायित्व यकिन गर्ने कार्यका लागि काम भइरहेको अवस्था छ।
The closure left government assets worth billions of rupees unused and in a state of deterioration. It also dealt a major blow to former employees and the local economy. With the feasibility study now underway, hopes are growing in Butwal that the long-idled factory could once again contribute to Nepal's textile sector and create new employment opportunities. The government's industrial revival drive extend beyond the Butwal yarn factory. Preparations are also underway to restart the Hetera textile industry, which has remained closed for the past 25 years. Officials hope its revival will boost domestic production and generate employment. The Hetera textile industry, which has remained closed for the past 25 years, is preparing to resume operations in the coming fiscal year 2083-84. Once a symbol of Nepal's textile sector, the factory produced some of the country's finest cotton fabrics, including uniforms for the Nepal Army. It earned a strong reputation in the domestic market for its high-quality cotton cloth, grey fabric, white fabric and cotton yarn before shutting down. Now, under the government's campaign to revive state-owned industries, the Hetera textile industry has given top priority. The government aims to restart production within the current fiscal year.
कपडा उद्योगको उसमा चाहिँ 33 लाख रुपैयाँ हामी निकासाको लागि यहाँ अर्थ मन्त्रालयमा लेखी पठाएको छु जुन कि निकासा भइसकेको छ त्यहाँ हेटौडा उद्योगमा गइसकेको छ र त्यो मरम्मत कार्य पनि अगाडि बढिसकेको छ र अब केही महिनामै चाहिँ सञ्चालनमा आउँछ भन्ने म विश्वास दिलाउन चाहन्छु.
Established in 1976 and beginning production in 1978, the factory was once a cornerstone of Nepal's textile industry. However, it was forced to shut down in 2000, leaving nearly 1,400 employees without jobs. Former workers say many of the machines remain in working conditions, with cotton threads still visible on equipment that has remained untouched for decades.
खासै त्यस्तो केही समस्या छैन. तलब तल्दै गर्न भएको उद्योगलाई यतिकै चलाउन सकिन्छ. राज्यले चलाउन चाहेर हाम्रो आवश्यकता पर्यो भने खोजी गर्यो भने यही मेसिनबाट हामी 1 वर्षमा बोनस पाइदिन सक्छौँ.
फ्याक्ट्री नचल्ने कुरै आउँदैन. फलाम र त्यो किटबाट बनेको मेसिनहरू हो त्यो मेसिनहरू चलाउन सकिन्छ चल्छ भनेर. अनि अहिलेको मैले भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ 1975 मोडलका मेसिनहरू हुन्थे चाइनामा बनेका. ती मेसिनहरूसँग चाहिँ नि यही स्थितिमा चाहिँ नि मार्केट कम्युनिकेसन गर्न सकिँदैन.
The factory's semi-automatic production line is capable of processing raw cotton and producing patent colored cotton fabric within 24 hours. The plant produced around 27,000 meters of cloth daily while operating around the clock in those years.
एउटा हाई प्रोडक्सनमा गयो, फर्स्ट सेकेन्ड थर्ड शिफ्ट पनि चलेर 24 घण्टा चल्दाखेरिमा झन्डै 27-28 हजार मिटर कपडा चाहिँ उत्पादन हुने ठाउँसम्म हाम्रो पुगिसक्यो. र त्यो बेलामा हामीले चाहिँ जस्तो 47-48 सालको कुरा गर्ने हो भने हामीले त्यहाँ बोनस खान्थ्यौँ. कपडा उत्पादन गरेर बेचेर बोनस खाने भनेको त्यो पनि 1 महिनाको 2 महिनाको बोनस खाने भने त्यो धेरै ठुलो कुरा हो. अहिले फुल प्रोसेसमा नचलाए पनि हाफ प्रोसेसमा चलाउनु भयो भने नि 600 मान्छेले त्यहाँ रोजगारी पाउँछन् र त्यो 600 मान्छेले पाएको रोजगारी र उत्पादन भएको कोरा र ब्लिचिङ कपडाबाट उहाँहरूले बोनस खाने गरी त्यहाँ काम गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. त्यो उद्योग चल्छ.
The planned revival of the Hetera textile industry has raised hopes of generating employment and reducing Nepal's reliance on imported textile products. While the government's decision to revive the factory has been widely welcomed, experts say its long-term success will depend on modernization, efficient management, and the industry's ability to compete in an increasingly competitive textile market. The government of Nepal has also launched a nationwide campaign to distribute land ownership certificates beginning in Bardia district. The initiative aims to provide legal ownership and security to thousands of landless families. For many beneficiaries, the long-awaited documents represent the fulfillment of a dream they have waited decades to see realized.
For decades, thousands of landless families across Nepal lived with a single uncertainty hanging over their lives. They had homes but no legal proof that the land beneath them belonged to them. That meant everyday tasks became difficult. Whether applying for electricity, accessing financial services, or simply proving where they lived, the absence of land ownership certificate left many families without an official identity tied to their homes. Now, the government of Nepal has begun changing that reality.
अब के गर्दा काम यताउति गर्दा पनि लाल पूर्जाको सबै चिज खोज्ने अब विद्युतको फर्म भर्दा जाँदा पनि त्यो लाल पूर्जै खोज्ने केही थिएन समूह बस्दा पनि अब यसो ढिटो राखेर पैसा सैसा निकालौँ भने त्यो लाल पूर्जै थिएन केही परमानै थिएन नि
46 सालदेखि यही पूर्जाको लागि सङ्घर्ष गर्दा गर्दा गर्दा गर्दा यहाँसम्म आइयो अब 83 सालसम्म बल्ल बल्ल पूजा पाइयो खुसी लाग्यो
आफ्नो जग्गा अब ढुक्क भयो अनि कसैले फसाउनु नपाउला अब कतै न उ भने उठ भन्यो भने मेरो पूजा छ भनौँला अब त ढुक्क त भयो.
The government's nationwide campaign to distribute land ownership certificates to landless Dalits and landless squatter families officially began in Bardia district, marking the start of a 100-day drive under its flagship land reform program. The first distribution took place at Badhayatal Rural Municipality, where 29 households became the first beneficiaries of the campaign. Among them were 2 landless Dalit families and 27 landless squatter families. For many recipients, the certificates represent far more than a legal document. It is a guarantee of security after years, even decades of uncertainty. The government aims to distribute land ownership certificates under its 100-day action plan while working toward resolving all remaining land-related issues within the next 500 days. Officials say Bardia remains one of the districts with a large number of pending land cases. Since 2019, authorities have received applications from 5,010 landless Dalits, 8,137 landless squatters, and more than 33,000 unmanaged settlers. In addition, more than 4,500 applications carried over from the previous commission are still awaiting resolution. To meet the government's target, local authorities say verification and data collection at the ward level must now move more quickly. Progress has been gradual so far. Over the past 2 years, only 82 households in Bardia have received land ownership certificates, including 53 beneficiaries in Gularia and Bangsgadi municipalities. From Bardia, the campaign is now set to expand across the country. Turning long-awaited promise into legal ownership for thousands of landless families.
Nepal's rural homestay model has earned international recognition for promoting community-based tourism and preserving local culture. But in Sangja district, poor infrastructure and a shortage of manpower are forcing many once thriving homestays to close, raising concerns about the future of the rural tourism and local livelihoods.
A traveler comes to your house for a stay. In return, you show them the local way of life, your everyday culture, traditional food, and everything that makes your village or community unique. That is the simple idea behind a homestay. In recent years, Nepal has seen a boom in community homestays. In the district of Sangja in central Nepal alone, more than 50 homestays have opened over the past 28 years. But today, many of those homestays seem to be struggling. Poor road connectivity and a shortage of local manpower, especially the youth, have left many homestays struggling to survive. The once popular Pitlik Community Homestay in Waling Municipality 5 in Sangja is among those that have become seemingly emptier as infrastructure development has failed to keep pace with tourism ambitions.
आवत जावतको समस्या देखा पर्ने यस्ता होमस्टे प्राकृतिक सुन्दरताले भरिएका पर्यटकीय क्षेत्रहरूमा दैनिक जसो आउने पर्यटकहरूको संख्या आन्तरिक र बाह्य दुवै तरिकाबाट घटेको महसुस मैले गरिरहेँ.
Homestays were first introduced in Sangja in 1997. Over the past 28 years, their numbers grew to 50, with 41 new homestays registered in the fiscal year 2018-19 alone, according to the Integrated Service Office in Sangja. However, inadequate investment in infrastructure and the migration of the youth from villages have taken a heavy toll. Today, 43 of the district's 50 homestays have shut down completely, while those still operating continue to wait for visitors.
सबैजना पित्लेक भनेपछि यो सामाजिक सञ्जालहरुमा सबैले हेर्नुहुन्छ त्यसपछि आउनलाई इच्छा देखाउनुहुन्छ तर उहाँहरू यो बाटोको कारणले गर्दा अलिकति ब्याक हुनुहुन्छ।
Homestay operators warn that unless the government invests in better roads and introduces stronger support and promotional programs, more rural homestays could disappear, along with the traditional lifestyles and cultural heritage that they help preserve.
With the onset of the monsoon, the risk of floods and landslide has increased across Nepal, especially along the country's busiest road corridors, the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways. To enhance disaster preparedness, the District Administration Office in Dhading has established 18 holding centers to provide temporary shelters and assistance to travelers stranded by highway closure during emergencies.
Travelers using the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways this monsoon will have access to designated holding centers if floods or landslides block the roads. The District Administration Office in Dhading has identified 18 locations where stranded passengers and vehicles can be accommodated during emergencies. The initiative is aimed at reducing the risk to life and property while ensuring that travelers do not face the difficulties experienced during previous monsoon seasons.
मुख्य राजमार्ग हाम्रो निर्माणाधीन अवस्थामा छ त्यो हिसाबले पनि अझ बढी जोखिम भएको हामीले महसुस गरेर मुख्य राजमार्गको 86 किलोमिटर राजमार्गभित्र हामीले चाहिँ 21 वटा जोखिमयुक्त बढी जोखिम भएका एरिया पहिचान गरेर 18 ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामीले होल्डिङ सेन्टर राखेर त्यही अनुसारका त्यो होल्डिङ सेन्टरमा हेभी इक्विपमेन्ट तालिम प्राप्त जनशक्ति देखि लिएर अरु अब तत्काल रेस्पोन्सको लागि एम्बुलेन्स औषधि तत्काल इमर्जेन्सी खाद्यान्नहरु पानी वितरणको विषयहरुदेखि लिएर हैन बेसिक चाहिँ हाम्रो पूर्व तयारी भएको छ र यसको लागि विशेष गरेर हामी चाहिँ स्थानीय सरकारसँग समन्वय गरेर यो विपद पूर्व तयारीको कार्यक्रम र विपद त कुनै समय आइ नै हाल्छ हैन यसलाई हामीले रोक्न सकिदैन र विपद आयो भने तत्काल खोज तथा उद्धारको लागि रेस्पोन्सको लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो टिम तयार छ।
The local administration has also identified 21 locations within Gajuri, Galchi, Dhunibesi municipality and Benighat Rorang rural municipality as highly vulnerable to landslides and road blockages. Based on the assessment of the District Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Committee, these sites along the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways have been officially classified as high-risk areas for monsoon-related disasters. To prevent passengers from being stranded during highway closures, holding centers will be operated at 18 locations, including Khanikola, Mahadev Besi, Simle, Galchi Baireni, Tirodi Bazar and Malekhu. The committee says the holding centers will provide safe shelter, food, drinking water, relief assistance and basic medical services until travel can safely resume. All local governments and concerned agencies have been instructed to keep emergency personnel, equipment and other essential resources on standby throughout the monsoon season. Authorities have also urged agencies responsible for electricity, drinking water, telecommunications and transportation services to ensure uninterrupted operations and to immediately repair roads and power infrastructure damaged by landslides or other monsoon-related disasters.
Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories are shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the Hinterlands, and we will come back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website, nepaltelevision.com, social media handle, and our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Every dawn begins with a promise. Light will return. For the people of Nepal, the sun is not just a star in the sky. It is an eternal witness to labor, to love, to loss, and to life itself. The scriptures call it Aditya, the giver of vitality, the sustainer of truth. Farmers bow to it before planting their seeds. Mothers pray to it for the well-being of their children. To the people of Nepal, the sun is not a distant deity. It is divinity made visible, and that reverence is best manifested in Chhat. The festival where dwellers of the plains gather to thank both the rising and the setting sun.
This Chhat festival is a Hindu Vedic festival which is not only celebrated in India and Nepal these days. It has transcended to all the frontiers. Previously it used to be celebrated in India and Nepal only. But these days, the devotees who belong to Hinduism or from Islamic community, even they are celebrating abroad. Since this festival is the celebration of the nature and it promotes organic way of life, it promotes pollution-free atmosphere and environment, this festival has reached to all the walks of life because it promotes equality. As you could see that the devotees at the same pond, no matter whichever caste or class they belong, they are considered to be equal.
The roots of this festival lie deep in the ancient plains of Mithila, a cultural landscape shared by Nepal and India, where faith, soil, and sunlight have long shaped life itself. From its earliest mention in the Vedas to its celebration today, Chhat has journeyed through centuries and civilizations, changing form, yet never losing its spirit of purity, discipline, and gratitude.
It's a 5-day festival. The first day is called Marua Mas Barnai. Barnai means to refrain from. In that day, the devotees take a pledge to refrain from consuming non-vegetarian food and garlic and onion made food items. And the second day is called Nahai Khai. In that second day, the devotees first take bath, then offer prayers to the sun god, and then consume pure food. The third day is called Kharna, and in that day, the devotees take fast till evening and break the fast with the prasada of kheer and banana. On the fourth day, we could see the Sandhya Arghya, that is evening prayers. All the prasada which is offered to the sun god, each and every prasada is offered to the sun god by standing in the waters. And the same thing is repeated in the fifth day, that is called Usa Arghya. Usa means the prayer for the rising sun.
The festival unfolds over 5 days, each with distinct rituals and a shared focus on devotion. Families prepare offerings, maintain sacred spaces, and observe fasts while communities gather along water bodies, including river banks and ponds, to offer prayers to the rising and the setting sun. Women play a central role in organizing the rituals and guiding younger generations, while men and children assist in preparations. The collective participation reinforces family bonds and community cohesion, bridging generations in a shared cultural practice.
The women of our part of the world, they do rigorous fasting for the long life of their husband and children. They are at the central role in this festival. छठमा महिलाले मात्रै पूजा गर्ने होइन, पुरुषलाई पनि छठमा जो सुकैले पनि छठमा पूजा गर्न पाउनुहुन्छ। यहाँ कुनै जेन्डरको बायस छैन। तर हाम्रो वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टलाई कहाँसम्म यसले रोल प्ले गर्दो रहेछ सस्टेनेबल डेभलपमेन्ट गोल्समै हेर्ने हो भने जेन्डर इक्वालिटी कुरा गर्छ वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टको कुरा गर्छ देयर इज नो युज अफ संस्कृत मन्त्र देयर इज नो रोल अफ पण्डित देयर इज नो एनी होली टेक्स्ट which will prescribe the modality of the Chhath celebration.
The festival emphasizes the cleanliness of rivers, ponds and the banks, which are central to the rituals. These practices reflect an understanding that devotion is inseparable from responsibility towards nature. The festival demonstrates how religious observances can reinforce sustainable interaction with natural resources, promote environmental stewardship, and instill awareness about protecting water, soil, and the surrounding environment.
Once the Chhath festival concludes, we forget the messages which Chhath festival intends to give. Chhath talks about the pollution-free water bodies, the pollution-free sand, the pollution-free soil, and the pollution-free atmosphere. But the thing is that we often forget these messages. And the governments could uphold these messages if they could come up with certain policies while enlisting this Chhath and or promoting this Chhath festival in the UNESCO or in some other policy mechanism. They could draft some policies or they could draft some provincial laws which could enlist our water bodies as a natural body.
Chhath also supports local economies and traditional practices. Families rely on only locally sourced fruits, vegetables, and bamboo baskets, while vendors sell traditional items for the festival. Home-prepared offerings and locally produced goods strengthen community livelihoods and ensure that cultural indigenous skills and knowledge are preserved. By linking tradition with practical benefits, Chhath sustains both social and economic aspects of the communities and celebrate it.
This festival could be used as a bridge to connect the people from all walks of life, to connect the people from hill and tarai, to connect the people from each and every community member. So this festival could emerge as a festival of social cohesion, and beyond this we could unite our community in a bond of equality and in a bond of community spirit.
From Mithila to Kathmandu and beyond, Chhath bridges regions and generations. Its observance in urban centers and abroad shows how cultural traditions can adapt while maintaining the festival's essence. The rituals connect younger generations with their heritage and ensure the continuity of cultural knowledge. The festival continues to adapt to modern contexts while maintaining its historical roots, ensuring that the traditions and responsibilities it embodies remain relevant for future generations.
The Holy Scriptures also talks about Chhath festival. Lord Sita had performed Chhath festival after Lord Rama came from Banvasa, and once Ram Rajya was established, Goddess Sita had performed Chhath for the well-being of Ram Rajya, for the well-being of the Ayodhya people. It's in Ramayana, Sita had performed Chhath, and in Mahabharata, we could see that Kunti and Pandavas, they had also performed Chhath.
Practices become culture, good practices become religion, and Chhath reflects a tradition that transcends boundaries, uniting communities across the Mithila region. In the flatlands, where summer temperatures often exceed 40 degrees Celsius, the sun becomes both sustainer and foe. Yet, despite the intense heat, devotees endure fasting, prepare offerings, and perform rituals with unwavering discipline and reverence. In facing the sun in this way, they demonstrate resilience, faith, and a profound connection to nature, showing that devotion can persist even under the harshest conditions.
Culture and identity of a nation or community is deeply embedded in its craft and lifestyle. In this, specialized craft producers are major actors. Besides specialized skills and uniqueness, time adds value to such crafts. In this film, we explore two such specialized crafts, one in Kathmandu and the other in Niigata, that have played significant role in elevating their respective national culture and identity in the world's fair. The capital of Nepal, Kathmandu, is a spectacular blend of natural beauty and culture. Habitat to about 2.5 million people, the city holds a rich cultural history that dates back to the ancient times. The 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites it encompasses are evident to the fact. Swayambhunath, Bodhanath, Pashupatinath temple premises, Changunarayan temple area, as well as the 3 Darbar squares of Kathmandu, Patan and Bhaktapur enlisted in the UNESCO Cultural World Heritage Site are not only a glimpse of its civilization, but Nepalese treasured pride. The civilization of Kathmandu that lies 1400 meters above the sea level seemingly holds a close connection with copper products since time immemorial. Historical text has it that Kathmandu in ancient time was referred to as Nepal. Sanskrit lexicographers have a synonym of tamra or copper as Nepaliklam and Nepalam. Hence, the origin of the name Nepal is assumed to have been derived from the Sanskrit word copper. In Nepal, copper has been a basic raw material to a wide range of art and crafts, including in sculpture, architecture, detail and housewares making. Thus, it has over time been an integral part of Nepali civilization and lifestyle.
इस्वीको सुरुदेखि चाहिँ ताम्रको टुक्राहरूको व्यवहारबाट चाहिँ यसको चलनचल्ती भएको बुझिन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ 6औं शताब्दीमा आएर चाहिँ यसबाट चाहिँ मुद्रा बनाउने चलन आयो। तिस्टुङको भटुवाल र पाल्चोक भन्ने दुई ठाउँमा अंशुवर्माले राखेको अभिलेखमा चाहिँ यो ताम्र भाण्ड तामाका भाँडाहरू चाहिँ सरकारको स्वीकृति बिना बाहिर लानु हुँदैन भन्ने उल्लेख आएको छ। भेन्साङ चाहिँ भारतमा आएर भारतबाट चाहिँ नेपाल भएर चाहिँ चीन फर्केको बुझिन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ 643-44 ईस्वी सम्बततिर आएको बुझिन्छ। त्यो जुन कैलाशकूट भवन छ त्यो कैलाशकूट भवनबारे भेन्साङले एकदमै राम्रो चाहिँ उल्लेख गरेको छ कि यो 7 तलाको थियो। यसको चाहिँ छाना चाहिँ तामाको थियो। यसको चाहिँ नेपालमा चाहिँ तामाको पैसा चाहिँ चल्तीमा छ। यहाँका मानिसहरूले भाँडाकुँडाहरू तामाको चलाउँछ। यी कुराहरू उल्लेख गरेको छ जुन चाहिँ चाइनाको टाङ वृत्तान्तमा अथवा इतिहासमा उल्लेख गरिएको छ।
The earliest known Ripause image is Garudasana Vishnu, dated 607 CE from Changunarayan Temple in Bhaktapur. Some historical metal idols of the 6th and 7th century are remaining in private possession or in museum collections abroad. A significant consideration as evidence of copper metal craft are the idols dating back to the 11th century excavated in Makwanpur, which is a district adjoining Kathmandu. At the moment, these rare valuables are safely harbored at the Patan Darbar Square Museum. Among the 3 cities of Kathmandu Valley, Patan is comparatively popular for copper craft. Hundreds of families, especially the Newars, who are natives of this cultural city, have been preserving their ancestral legacy of manufacturing copperwares and artifacts for generations now. In Nepal, copper artifacts are made mainly through 2 techniques, either by lost waxing or ripause, which is a technique of pounding metal sheets. The Malla period between 1200 to 1482 is considered a golden era in terms of metalcraft in Nepal. An array of work dazzling in its quantity and quality was produced then, much of which survives. The popularity of Nepali artisans had reached far and wide. It was in this period that Araniko, the famous artisan, was taken to Tibet. In 1265, Emperor Kublai Khan of China, impressed with Araniko's work, invited him to the capital and got him to renovate the artifacts in the monastery there, dating back to the Song period. In 1274, Emperor Khan appointed Araniko the director of the court artisans in China. To date, artists in hundreds are committed to continue the legacy of copper craft in Nepal. Among them, some are successfully effortful to simultaneously take ahead promotion and expansion of the craft. Among such names is Rajkumar Shakya, renowned for his crafts and entrepreneurship. Shakya was born on 1966 in Patan in a family of metal craftsmen.
हाम्रो पुर्खौली अब बाजे बराजुदेखि नै यही काममा लाग्नु भएको बुवाले काम गर्नु भएको जासलमा बसेर बुवासँगै बसेर खेल्दै सिक्दै काम गर्दै गर्दै परम्परागत तरिकाले नै सिकेको मैले सानो बेला सिक्दाखेरि त्यति बजार पनि थिएन यो कलाको अहिले आउँदाखेरि यो कलाको चाहिँ बजार पनि अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय जगतमा फैलिँदै गयो यसको चाहिँ उत्पादनमा पनि वृद्धि गर्नुपर्ने देखियो
Shakya's works have made a niche both in the national and international market. Passion, focus, devotion, and search for new ideas is what has elevated Shakya's profile as compared to other artists. The incomparable expression of skill and creation of beauty are reflected in his works, which are beyond imagination for any ordinary artists. His widely acclaimed works of craft have been placed at various countries, with Japan, Vietnam, China, Thailand harboring his significant works. The latest is the 155 feet tall idol of Guru Padmasambhav in Bhutan. Based on repoussé, pounded sheets of copper were wrapped around iron skeleton, which was built using modern architecture. Supervised by Shakya, it took 4 years for 57 artisans to complete the idol.
2000 एक्सपो मा जर्मनमा मैले सबभन्दा ठुलो स्वयम्भूको स्तूपा बनाउने अवसर पाएँ। फेरि पछि चाहिँ 2010 मा चाइनामा पनि फेरि वर्ल्ड एक्सपोमा त्यहाँ पनि मैले चाहिँ ठुलो स्तूपा बनाउने र अरू कलाकृतिहरू बनाउने मौका पाएँ। त्यसमा चाहिँ अझ मैले चाहिँ हाम्रो हनुमान ढोकाको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति 12 फिटको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति पनि बनाउने अवसर पाएँ। त्यो पनि त्यहाँ अब चाइनामा चाहिँ एक्सपोमा प्रदर्शन गर्न पाएँ। त्यसपछि अनि चाहिँ मैले भुटानमा पद्मसम्भवको मूर्ति बनाउने पनि अवसर पाएँ।
Cultural and anthropological experts have highly evaluated Shakya's efficiency and capabilities.
त्यो 14औं शताब्दीमा जुन परम्परा थियो हाम्रो नेपालबाट अन्य देशमा गएर चाहिँ नि कलाकारहरूले आफ्नो कला प्रस्तुत गर्ने, नेपालको कलाकारितालाई त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि स्थापित गर्ने जुन काम गरेको थियो, त्यसै कामको चाहिँ नि निरन्तरताको रूपमा अहिले हामीले 20औं 21औं शताब्दीमा राजकुमार साकेजीलाई पाएको छौं। यस्तो ठुलो ठुलो ह्युज त्यो मूर्तिहरू बनाउने क्रममा चाहिँ नि त्यो मूर्तिको एउटा स्थानबाट अर्को स्थानमा सार्नु, त्यस्तै गरी त्यसलाई चाहिँ प्रोपोर्सनेट मिलाउने आदि इत्यादि टेक्निकल पनि एकदमै कठिन काम हो। अब यसलाई चाहिँ उहाँले अत्यन्तै माइन्युटली चाहिँ गर्नु हुँदो रहेछ।
To reach Shakya's stature, however, takes a lot of dedication, devotion, practice and patience. Thus, not many youth look keen in pursuing with the profession. Keeping this in mind, Shakya also conducts classes for the younger generation in a bid to hand it over to them. Most interestingly, Shakya's son is also one of his pupils and has already joined him in his business.
हेरिटेजमा नेपालको एकदम टुरिस्टहरु पनि एकदम आकर्षित भयो हेरिटेजमा हैन, त्यही भएर अब बुवा पनि यसमै लाग्नुभयो। त्यही पनि मैले नि यसमै गरौँ कि जस्तो मलाई लाग्यो। बुवा यति आर्टिस्ट भएर पनि अब मेरोमा पनि धेरै एक्सपेक्टेसन गर्छन् होला अरूले पनि, त्यही भएर अब सिक्न काम गाह्रो पनि छ, सिक्न अब टाइम पनि लाग्नेछ, धेरै सिक्न पनि त बाँकी छ।
Such noble endeavors, complemented by the engagement of the younger generation, have indeed sparked a hope that the prosperous tradition will be kept alive. For those involved in copper kitchenwares and housewares, the biggest emerging threat is the modern wares, which are both attractive and cheaper. In a bid to preserve their profession, they have now attempted to add diversity to their products based on the demand of the changing times. Meanwhile, there are others like Kalyan Krishna Tamrakar, who, although remaining in the trade, have embraced newer productions based on market needs. Tamrakar has been manufacturing artistic utensils along with internationally acclaimed singing bowls, which are mostly used in meditational purposes.
करीब 28 वर्ष भयो सिंगिङ बोल्स नयाँ सिंगिङ बोल्स बनाउने र त्यसमा अलिकति थेरापिक युजको लागि बनाएको सायद नेपालमा पहिलो नै मैले बनाए होला एउटा फिलोसफी हो र जहाँसम्म युटेन्सिल्स मैले बनाउने सन्दर्भमा पहिला यो धेरै पहिलाहरू बन्थ्यो र पछि बिस्तारै यो ब्रोन्जको युटेन्सिल्सहरू लोप हुँदै गयो अनि यो बनाउनु पाए हुन्छ कि भनेर अनि हामीले यसलाई फेरि बनाउन थालिएको.
The market for singing bowls is mostly Europe and is used in intensive research and meditation. The sound created from the bowls vary based on the utensil itself and is proven effective for improving blood circulation and hence is used in therapy as well. Tamrakar, whose forefathers had been copper craftsmen by profession, has justifiably promoted their knowledge and skills in the wider market through entrepreneurship. Majority of his buyers are from Germany and Japan.
やはり他で買いが利かないのと、さらにその日本の求める品質にネパールの人たちが合わせてものを作ってくれるからと思います。
私のユーザーは心を癒すそういったツールを大変求めているユーザーが多いです。例えばアロマセラピーの方でヨガの方、そういった方たちの要望に応えるためにネパールから輸入しようと思いました。そうすると残ってる手作りは大変高い、ほとんどアーティストのレベルしか残りなくなります。一般の方が使う商品はもう今やネパールでないとできないのが現状だと思っています。ですから私たちのユーザーはそれを望んでますから、今私もネパールから大変たくさんの量を輸入しています。
In the Yahikoyama terrain drained by Shinano River lies Niigata city. Rice farming is predominant owing to the rich soil deposit which makes it ideal for agriculture. Besides, it is also renowned for the high-quality copper mines. During the Meiji period, copper mining flourished in the foothills. Adorned in tulip blooms, the designated city of food and flowers does not rest even amidst thick blankets of snow. Subame in Niigata is a city of metal craft and craftsmen that have thrived through prosperity and tumultuous times. At the beginning of the 1600s, lot of artisans came to exist in the Subame-Sanjo area, driven by the local administration's policy of encouraging side business. Thus originated the metal processing industry from the making of Japanese-style nails known as wakugi. The first artisans also produced household items including agricultural tools, kitchenwares and tobacco pipes. Once Japan started importing Western-style nails, the number of artisans gradually started decreasing. During the Second World War until 1945, the factories in the local area had to be mobilized to produce military goods. The 1950s was a time of mass production and mass consumption in Japan. Thus, metal processing companies grew multifold in number and size. Following the Plaza Accord that largely intervened currency markets, the factories gradually lost their business to their overseas competitors. They did not have as many orders as they once had. As a result, the local business temporarily but sharply declined.
今、燕市で追記同期というふうに言われている、
器といいますか、ものがありますけれども、それは一般的に金工でいう金属を加工する技術の中の単金と言われるものの一つでして、それを全国的に同じような技法はたくさんあるんですけれども、燕市ではそれを鎚起銅器と呼んでいる。燕市の鎚起銅器というのは伝統工芸技術としても県の指定にもなっておりますし、伝統工芸品としても指定されていますが、燕市の中ではだいたい今から250年くらい前の江戸時代の後期にその技術が仙台の方から来た職人によって伝わったと言われています。
Kakuhei Tamagawa also learned the technique from the craftsman and hence founded Gyokusendo in 1816. Since then, about 300 artisans have kept alive the traditional skills. The company is currently a leader in Niigata to preserve and expand the treasured tradition of tsukidoki. It is said during the Second World War, when weapons and arms mass production had peaked, the tsukidoki industry nearly disappeared owing to shortages of copper. It was Gyokusendo's then leadership that brought back the craftsmen dispersed across the country, that helped in the revival of the industry. Gyokusendo celebrates its 200th anniversary in 2016. Today, its outlets are spread in top-notch departmental stores in high-end streets of Japan and overseas. Motoyuki Tamagawa is the 7th master of Gyokusendo. Since taking over the company at an early age, he has worked hard to promote his products and company. Tamagawa, who strongly believes in adapting to business management style with time rather than changing age-old skill patterns, introduced the trend of putting his artisans in direct contact with the customers at Gyokusendo's outlets and during exhibitions. This, he believes, not only helps customer understand the skill and hard work required to create an artifact, but also helps the artisans learn the needs and tastes of the changing times.
顔の見える商売をしようと思ったんですよね。でそこで私が考えたのが商社を下ろさずに、直接百貨店に行ってでそこで実演販売をして職人がお客様と会話するようなこのビジネスモデルを作っているんですね。この玉泉の方向としては、大量というよりは本当銅器を愛用してくださる方に対してちゃんと説明してちゃんと愛用していただける方を対象としたやっぱり商売をしていきたいと思ってますんで、だからそういうこと職人も、だから職人をどんどん増やすというわけではなくビジネスもどんどん大きくするわけではなくて、ちゃんと玉泉堂というブランドをね本当高めていく。でお客様のその愛用する、顧客満足度もやっぱり高めていくというところがすごく大事だと思ってますね。
At the Gyokusendo factory, about 15 artisans of various ages work hard by the day to improve their skills. Working with Gyokusendo is a dream for many artisans. Gyokusendo recruits one from among hundreds applying every year. For a craftsman, it can take about 20 to 30 years to acquire proficiency to handle a set of techniques all by himself. Each stroke in tsukidoki is made in such a way such that the marks do not overlap. The proficiency of an artisan is observed in a vessel made out of one copper sheet and without any seams. For the younger artisans, it is a matter of a lot of perseverance and patience. Today, all independent tsukidoki artisans in Tsubame were once trained at Gyokusendo. Among them, a prominent name is of an artist par excellence, Master Norio Tamagawa.
今のその木目金イコール木目金っていうのがもう、のりおさんのことなんですけれども、その土台となっているのはやっぱり玉泉堂で修行していた時代の追記銅器という技術が骨幹にあって根元のところにあって、でそこから、まあ亡くなられた師匠のところに、弟子入りをしたりですとか、いろんなまあご苦労修行の中でご苦労されながら、今、まあ、世界にもこう名前を馳せるようになった素晴らしい作品を作られるようになったと思います。
Master Norio Tamagawa is the pride of Niigata and is acclaimed as the living national treasure Japan. His insurmountable contribution in reviving mokumegane through his outstanding and unique creation is beyond comparison. The Tsubame Industrial History Museum, which is a hub to compile, preserve and exhibit industrial heritages, has set up a separate section to exhibit his works. This meticulously carved artifact harbored at the museum is the master's signature art piece. The masterpiece is a delicately hammered, refined handiwork that, owing to its traditional aura and aesthetic value, has awed art lovers and consumers across the world.
いわゆる就職って言いますか、会社へ入りますね。会社従業員として入って、何年か経った時に少し外の世界も見たいと思って東京へ2年ばかり修行に行ったんです。日本の芸大っていうね、その人たちとの交流もあったんで、その作品、私の場合はずっとほら商品を作ってたわけでしょ。商品じゃない作品作りのペースっていうのをね、ああ違うもんだなっていうのをつくづく感じましたね。
The master reminisces it took him 11 years before he could call his product a piece of art. As a young artist, he took inspiration from his seniors to aim high and excel bigger dreams.
「作品作りには影響ないね。作品の場合はあくまでも個人のまあなんだ欲求のままに作るんですからね。世間が何を求めてるかっていうのはあんまり関係ない。っていうのは力がいる仕事なんでね。もう70過ぎてね、現役っていうのは今まであんまりいなかったんです。だから私はまあ仕方ないからやってるけども、だから夢はないけども、もう作品をいくつ作れるか。
The traditional skill nurtured by newer skills, tools and technology has elevated the 200-year-old technique to a world-class art. Contemporary Sukidoki products include a wide range of aesthetically distinctive housewares and artifacts. Mr. Tatsushi Tamagawa, currently the chief manager at Gyokusendo, is Master Norio Tamagawa's son. He started as an artisan at Gyokusendo. Since then, much has changed. He has seen the changing business landscape, the diversity in products, which he says directly or indirectly determines the mindset and working style of an artisan.
言われたものを、早くきっちり作るっていうのがとてもいい職人だと思うんですけども、最近はプラスいろいろこういう喋るものとかも今はそういうふうに、いろいろお客様に説明するとかそういうものも含まれて、全てこなしていい職人になるのかなという感じは最近はありますね。
Most fascinatingly, his son Keita, the youngest of the Tamagawas, also works under him at Gyokusendo. At 20, Keita is already an efficient beginner. Initially, driven by his grandfather's success when he joined the company, it was but a prized escape for Keita. But now, Keita is intensively working hard to attain the precision to be a better artist.
そうですね。まあ、どちらの方もすごい仕事に対して一生懸命で寡黙なので、まあ、そういうところを自分に取り入れられたらいいなとは思ってますね。なんか、まあ、僕のお父さんもなんとおじいちゃんに真似してるっていうか似てきているのでなんかまあそうですね、まあおじいちゃんからはやっぱりちょっと仕事がテキパキ早いので、まあ、そういうところをちょっと見習いたいなとは思いますね。はい、まあそういうところです。はい。
Since the beginning of human civilization, art has evolved based on culture and vice versa. Nevertheless, the demand of changing times has had a detrimental role to play in its course and form. Whether it is Niigata or Kathmandu, artisans continue to express themselves in their artworks.
Flood inundates landless squatters holding center in Kirtipur. Dozens of families evacuated. Nepal government revokes licenses of 44 construction firms for failing to renew permits. Most of contractors miss mandatory deadline. Caterpillar infestation threatens Chapa's tea gardens. Outbreak adds to farmers' woes amid low prices and market uncertainty. Iran's supreme leader vows vengeance for predecessor's killing. Iran's foreign minister reaches Oman for talks on Strait of Hormuz. China braced for second typhoon in a week as Typhoon Bavi approaches landfall. Thousands evacuated. And Norway locking horns with England tonight for semi-final spot in World Cup 2026. Argentina to face Switzerland tomorrow morning. Hello there, I am Ipulaki Singh Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Flooding triggered by continuous rainfall and rising water levels in the Bagmati River has inundated a holding center for landless settlers at the Radhaswamy Satsang Center in Sundarighat of Kirtipur municipality in Kathmandu. This has forced the evacuation of dozens of families sheltering at the facility. Authorities said 154 people were staying at the holding center. Most of the families have been relocated to a facility in Karipati of Bhaktapur. We will look deeper into this in our segment Issue of the Day later in the bulletin. Moving on, Nepal's Ministry of Infrastructure Development has annulled the license of 44 firms and companies that failed to renew their construction business license. The Construction Entrepreneurship Promotion Unit under the Ministry of Infrastructure Development has stated in a notice that the licenses of 44 construction entrepreneurs who did not renew their licenses within the fiscal year 2025-26 by March 30th, 2026, as per the Construction Business Act, have been automatically revoked. The decision was made at the secretary level of the ministry. Now, tea farmers in Nepal's eastern district of Chapa are facing a fresh crisis as caterpillar infestations spread across tea gardens, threatening production and livelihoods. Already struggling with low prices and market uncertainties, Growers say the pests are destroying tea leaves and tender shoots, leaving some plantations severely damaged. Agricultural experts say reliance on a single pesticide is not enough and recommend regular field monitoring. They also recommend timely pruning, proper sanitation, biological pest control, and the use of recommended pesticides. With thousands of farmers and workers dependent on the tea industry, it has been warned that without immediate and coordinated intervention, the infestation could cause significant losses to this year's tea production. We will bring more on this issue in our detailed report later in the bulletin. Moving on, Iran's supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has vowed to seek revenge for his killing of his predecessor and father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in his first public statement since the former leader's funeral. The statement broadcast by Iran's state television marked Mojtaba Khamenei's first response after taking over the role and came as Iranian authorities held funeral ceremonies for the former supreme leader. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump warned that the United States would completely decimate Iran if it attempted to assassinate him. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Oman, a key mediator in previous U.S.-Iran negotiations, as diplomatic efforts intensified to revive talks aimed at ending the Middle East conflict. Mediators are working to restore dialogue and explore possible pathways toward de-escalation amid growing international pressure to prevent further conflict. Now, hundreds of thousands of people have been evacuated from areas of eastern China as a powerful typhoon, the country's second in a week, barrels towards the coast. Typhoon Bavi, which spans 1,000 kilometers at its widest point, roughly the width of France, is expected to make landfall near the major city of Wenzhou on Sunday morning. Earlier, landslides triggered by the storm killed 17 people in the Philippines. Though it has weakened to a Category 1 typhoon, it still presents a risk because of the huge volume of moisture within its rain bands. Bavi began as a super typhoon, battering Guam and northern Mariana Islands last Monday with wind speeds of 290 kilometers per hour. England and Norway renew a rivalry tonight when they meet in the FIFA World Cup 2026 quarterfinals in Miami tonight. The match will kick off at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. Similarly, in other encounter, Lionel Messi's Argentina is facing Brill's Embolo's Switzerland for a place in the semifinals of the FIFA World Cup 2026. The match will kick off at Kansas City Stadium in the United States at 6:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time tomorrow morning. The reigning champions outclassed most title contenders in the group stage thanks to the unstoppable striking force of Lionel Messi. France and Spain have already secured their spots in the semifinals after a dramatic knockout stage action. Now, a closer look at the FIFA World Cup 2026 action is coming up in our sports segment later in the bulletin. Now, what was meant to be a temporary shelter has itself been overwhelmed by floodwaters. Dozens of landless families in Kirtipur have been forced to flee after the swollen Bagmati River inundated their holding center overnight. More on this after a short break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Welcome back. Heavy rainfall last night flooded the Radhaswamy Squatter Holding Center in Sundarighat, Kirtipur, forcing displaced families to relocate to Karipati, Bhaktapur. Security personnel were deployed to evacuate the families taking shelter at the center after floodwaters entered the facility. Although the affected families have been moved to safety, many remain concerned about proper shelter and the availability of relief support. Regina Rai, along with our local correspondent, Anjar Singh BK, brings you this report.
The Radhaswamy Holding Center at Sundarighat in Kirtipur Municipality 10 was inundated after the river's water level rose sharply last night. The flooding forced dozens of squatters to flee the shelter as the area remained underwater until this morning. Residents say the floodwaters entered the holding center while they were at sleep, leaving them with no time to save even their basic belongings. As of now, security personnel rescued 54 people from the holding center. The evacuees were first taken to the Smriti building inside the Tribhuvan University premises before being shifted to a safe shelter in Karipati, Bhaktapur. Of the 207 displaced people, 25 are currently staying at the Electricity Authority Training Center in Karipati.
हामी डुबानमा पर्यो अनि त्यही भएर यता आएको 4 वर्षमा विधा सर बितिहाल्यो जमनको राम्रै ठाउँमा राख्नुहुन्छ भन्ने आशा गरेको छु अब उहाँबाट मलाई पढ्नलाई धेरै गाह्रो नहोस्.
The Ministry of Home Affairs says food, drinking water and other essential relief supplies are being provided to those affected. But many displaced families say the government's relief assistance of Rs 25,000 per household is far from enough to cover their basic needs as the cost of living continues to rise. They say temporary shelter and relief may provide immediate support, but what they need is a permanent place to live.
कमर दुई पटक फ्र्याक्चर भइसक्यो अनि त्यसैले गर्दा यहाँ बसिरहेको छु. सामान सुद्धा म लग्यो भने म जहाँ जान्छु सरकारले लान्छ म त्यहाँ जानको लागि तयार हो सर.
Authorities say 20 families from the Radhaswamy Holding Center have been relocated to Karipati, while the remaining displaced families have been moved to housing facilities in Ichangunarayan.
अब अहिले उहाँहरु बिस्तारै उहाँहरुको म्यानेज हुँदै गएर केही साथीहरु हामीले ईशंकुनारायणमा पठाएका छौं. गर्दाखेरि अहिले चाहिँ डेली बेसिसमा हेर्दाखेरि करिब 25 जना बाँकी हुनुहुन्छ पहिलाको र बाँकी रहेको पनि व्यवस्थापन हुने क्रम जायछ. आज पनि उहाँहरु केही ट्रान्सफर हुँदै हुन्छ.
For now, emergency relief has reached the displaced families, but they say temporary assistance is not enough. Their biggest demand is permanent rehabilitation plan that will allow them to rebuild their lives.
As modern life reshapes traditions, one indigenous dance is fighting to survive. After the break, we meet the senior practitioners in Makwanpur working to preserve the Jhakri dance against the odds. You're watching NTV World News Hour with April Agising Lama. Time for the cover story. The indigenous Jhakri dance, rooted in the ancient religious and cultural traditions of Nepal's indigenous communities, is facing growing challenges despite decades of preservation efforts by senior practitioners in Makwanpur. They point a lack of financial support, limited institutional backing, and declining youth participation are threatening the continuity of this cultural heritage. Subeksha Rajak, along with correspondent Bhavana Rijal from Makwanpur, delves deeper.
They are around 70 years old, yet their enthusiasm and energy remain undiminished. Wearing Rudraksha beads, bells and various traditional necklaces around their necks, dressing in long white robes with white headbands adorned with peacock feathers. The performers move rhythmically in a circular formation while carrying dhangro, a traditional shamanic drums, in their hands. In the center of the circle, a karua, traditional metal water vessel filled with sacred water, is placed. Chanting mantras around the vessel and synchronizing their body movements to the rhythm of the dhangro, the performers become fully immersed in the Jhakri dance. The Sri Chorba Bonbo and Dhampu Shelo organization, located in Hetauda submetropolitan city 14, Makwanpur, has been carrying out a dedicated campaign to preserve and promote this unique indigenous cultural tradition. Most of the artists associated with the organization belong to the 60 to 70 year age group. The Jhakri dance, a shamanic dance, is a traditional performance linked to the ancient Bonbo Jhakri tradition, in addition to being performed during religious worship and rituals. Senior artists continue to preserve the original art form and cultural identity of the Tamang community by participating in cultural festivals, tableau exhibitions, victory celebrations, and other public events organized by the provincial government, local governments, and various organizations. However, the continuity of the Jhakri dance is facing increasing challenges due to modern lifestyles, migration, and the declining interest of the younger generation in traditional culture. According to the organization's secretary, Devan Singh Rumba, financial constraints have made it difficult to manage the necessary costumes and equipment, while the inability to effectively train younger generations has hindered the successful transfer of this cultural tradition from one generation to the next.
यो संस्कार संस्कृतिलाई बचाउनको निम्ति हामी लागि परेका छौं र हामी अरु नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि अगाडि बढाउनको लागि आर्थिकै समस्या पर्दो रहेछ। यी समस्याहरूले गर्दाखेरि हामी अलि अगाडि बढ्नलाई अलि गाह्रो हुन्छ।
For more than 4 decades, the artists have kept the Jhakri dance alive by arranging traditional costumes, dhangro drums, and other essential materials at their own expense. Although the organization have been making efforts to teach the Jhakri dance to the younger generation, it has not been able to conduct regular training programs due to lack of adequate financial resources.
हाम्रा संस्कार संस्कृतिका वेशभूषाहरू र यस झाँक्रीमा चाहिने आवश्यकता सामग्रीहरू धेरै अभाव छ र हामी आफैले चाहिँ यो गरेर जेनतेन हामीले चलाइराखेका छौं।
This unique cultural heritage has been safeguarded by the elder generation for decades. Its originality and cultural identity can only be successfully passed on to the future generations if the younger generation embraces it with a sense of ownership and continues to preserve and practice the tradition.
Now, in this context, we asked the locals of Makwanpur what steps should be taken to preserve the Jhakri dance and protect this cultural heritage. Let's hear what they had to say.
झाँक्री नाच आफैमा पनि यो तामाङ जातिको अत्यन्तै यो मौलिकता चाहिँ झल्काउने आफ्नो परम्परागत चाहिँ जुन नाच छ यो झाँक्री नाचलाई चाहिँ हामी यो हाम्रो जेनेरेसनले चाहिँ एकदमै संरक्षण गर्नु अति जरुरी छ।
लो हुने अवस्थामा छ अनि कहिले वास्ता रेस्ता पनि गर्ने कसैले चाफ नदै भएर यो चाहिँ अब सिद्धिने अवस्थामा छ।
अब नेवार समुदायले आफ्नो संस्कृतिलाई आफ्नो सम्पदालाई जसरी जोगाएर राखेको छ हैन अनि जात्रा मनाउँछ विभिन्न कार्यक्रम हुन्छ उनीहरुको प्राय जात्रा भइरहन्छ। मकवानपुर जिल्लामा पनि त्यसरी नै तामाङ जातिले आफ्नो सम्पदालाई संरक्षण गर्ने हो भने धेरै राम्रो हुन्छ।
अबको बुढाहरुले अब सिक्दैन अब पहिलाको बाजेहरु अब बितिहाले।
राज्यले अलिकति यो सम्प्रदायसँग भन्दा नजोडिकन पनि एउटा देशको मौलिक कला संस्कृतिसँग जोडेर यो तामाङ समुदायको मात्र होइन यो भोलि नेपालको एउटा मौलिकसँग जोडेर चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढायो भने राज्यले चाहिँ अलिकति यसलाई हेर्दै भने चाहिँ यो चाहिँ परम्परा चाहिँ अलिकति बच्यो कि जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई।
पहिलाको हाम्रा हजुरबा बुवाहरुको पालामा जस्तै अब हाम्रो पालामा नि चाहिन्छ नै अब जस्तै अब हाम्रो युवालाई पनि चाहिने नै हो हैन। जस्तै अब ठिक छ यो राम्रो हो यो ठिक लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ।
आफ्नो एउटा पहिचानको लागि झाँक्री नाचको आवश्यक छ। आफ्नो
कला संस्कृतिको लागि पनि जगेर्ना गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने मेरो मान्यता छ।
झाँक्रीको उसको लागि चाहिँ हामीले यो बचाउनको लागि हाम्रो हिजोको बाउबाजे पुर्खादेखि चलिआएको चलनलाई हामीले जोगाएर राख्नुपर्छ।
That was the cover story of the day. Now we move to remaining updates. Nepal has launched a new nationwide disaster hotline, 1234, to help people report emergencies and request rescue assistance more quickly. The Home Ministry said the new toll-free number replaces the previous hotline, 1149. Calls from Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur will be answered by the National Emergency Operations Center. Calls from the other 74 districts will be automatically connected to the Emergency Operations Center in the College district. The ministry said the new system will make it easier for people to report disaster-related incidents, seek help and receive information. It also urged the public to follow official government advisories during disasters and use 1234 when emergency assistance is needed. Moving on, 7 youths who were stranded in the middle of the local Banganga River in Banganga municipality of Kapilvastu in western Nepal were safely rescued this afternoon. The youths had gone swimming in the river when they became trapped in the middle of the river after the water level suddenly rose due to increased flow. According to DSP Ripendra Kumar Singh of the District Police Office Kapilvastu, a joint rescue team from the Nepal Police, Armed Police Force and Nepal Army successfully rescued them after around 1.5 hours of efforts. During the rescue operation, security personnel entered the river using ropes, stones and other necessary rescue equipment. The water level in the Banganga River has increased following continuous rainfall in upper parts. The District Administration Office Kapilvastu meanwhile has urged the public to avoid unnecessary movement near the river and remain cautious, citing the high water flow. Now, as the current fiscal year 2025-26 is nearing its end, Nepal's capital expenditure, considered the backbone of the country's development activities, has remained limited to just 44.51% of the annual target. The government has set a target of spending 407.88 billion Nepali rupees under the capital budget for the current fiscal year. However, according to government data, only 181.56 billion rupees had been spent as of July 10. Although capital spending has shown a slight improvement compared to previous years when expenditure remained around 40.69%, officials say the progress is still far below the government's expectations. The Ministry of Finance has attributed the sluggish pace of development spending to several factors, including the Gen Z protest, subsequent elections, and disruptions in the global supply chain caused by ongoing international conflicts. Now, this, however, has affected the pace and effectiveness of infrastructure and construction activities across the country. Nepal's apex bank, Nepal Rashtra Bank, NRB, has directed banks and financial institutions to prepare and implement an action plan to reduce the number of inactive accounts by the end of December. The directive applies to Class A commercial banks, Class B development banks, and Class C finance companies. Under the revised provision, banks must regularly notify customers through phone, SMS, email or other appropriate means before an account becomes inactive. Financial institutions have also been instructed to contact customers at least once every 6 months via phone, SMS or email to encourage the reactivation of inactive accounts. They are required to maintain records of such communications. The central bank has further directed banks to allow customers to close their accounts from any branch across the country or through mobile and web applications. Now, tea farmers in Chapa are facing a growing threat as caterpillar infestations spread across tea gardens, adding to existing market and price pressures. Farmers say the pests are damaging leaves and new shoots, reducing production, while many fear the insects are becoming harder to control with pesticides. Smitu Gising Tamang, along with Dikes Lama from Chapa, brings more.
While tea farmers in Japa have been facing market and price problems, an outbreak of caterpillars in tea gardens has created another crisis. Farmers say attacks by the insect on tea gardens have been increasing in recent years. The caterpillars feed on tea leaves, destroy new shoots, and directly affect production. In some farmers' gardens, the once green tea plants are beginning to look dry.
अहिले चाहिँ ठुलो समस्या आइरहेछ सबैभन्दा पहिला हाम्रो चियामा लुपर भन्ने एउटा किरा आयो जसले हाम्रो बगान एकदम नाङ्गो बनायो जुन हामीले कुनै पनि औषधि प्रयोग गर्दा पनि त्यसलाई उतो गर्न सकेनौं.
According to farmers, spraying pesticides could control the insects in the past, but now, even after spraying, the insects are not dying easily. This has raised concerns that the pests may be developing resistance to pesticides.
विधि प्रयोग गर्ने उले एउटा विधि प्रयोग गर्ने भने एउटाको मर्ने अर्कोमा नमर्ने त्यसबाट पुत्तली आउने पुत्तली त उड्ने चीज हो अनि यसलाई चाहिँ एकीकृत प्लानिङ गरेर लगायो भने गयो भने चाहिँ यसले न्यूनीकरण हुन्छ फेरि टोटल सकिने चीज चाहिँ होइन यो.
According to tea cultivation technicians, repeated use of the same type of pesticide can increase the insect's resistance. Therefore, regular monitoring of tea gardens, timely pruning, proper cleaning, organic control methods, and the use of pesticides only as recommended should be adopted, said Indra Prasad Adhikari, an agricultural technician at the National Tea and Coffee Development Board.
त्यसलाई रेसिस्ट गरौँ अथवा पेस्ट रिसर्जेन्सको चाहिँ समस्या हामीले देखिरहेका छौं त्यति नै डोजमा अथवा त्योभन्दा बढी डोजमा पनि अहिले नियन्त्रण गर्न सकिरहेको छैन. त्यसले गर्दा यसको नियन्त्रणको लागि चाहिँ हामीले एकीकृत इन्टिग्रेटेड पेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्टका विधिहरू अपनाउन जरुरी छ.
Tea farming in Japa supports thousands of farmers, workers, and businesses. But as market, price, export, and pest problems continue to grow, farmers are becoming increasingly concerned about the future of the tea sector. Without timely collective efforts, technical monitoring, the safe use of pesticides, and long-term caterpillar management, tea production is likely to be affected even further.
Now, a growing trend of educated mothers not providing adequate breastfeeding to their newborns has been reported in Nepal's eastern hilly district of Khotang. Following this, health officials have raised concerns over declining rates of exclusive breastfeeding, particularly among urban and educated mothers. According to data from the district health office, Khotang, 61% of mothers with basic level education and 53% of mothers with secondary level education were found not to be providing sufficient breastfeeding to their newborns. Health officials said that in Koshi province, only 47% of mothers initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour of childbirth, while the rate of mothers providing exclusive breastfeeding for their first 6 months stands at only 53%. Health workers have warned that the increasing use of feeding bottles is becoming a challenge for infant health as it may affect recommended breastfeeding practices and child nutrition. 3 persons have been killed and 12 others injured after a jeep met with an accident in western Nepal's Bajang district this afternoon. 8 of the injured are reported to be in critical condition. The accident occurred as the jeep plunged about 250 meters off a road. According to local officials, 16 people were on board the jeep when the accident occurred. Now we have more updates lined up, but before that, let's have a look at the headlines. Flood inundates landless quarters holding center in Kirtipur. Dozens of families evacuated. Nepal government revokes licenses of 44 construction firms for failing to renew permits. Most of contractors miss mandatory deadline. Caterpillar infestation threatens Chapa's tea gardens. Outbreak adds to farmers' woes amid low prices and market uncertainty. Iran's supreme leader vows vengeance for predecessor's killing. Iran's foreign minister reaches Oman for talks on Strait of Hormuz. China braced for second typhoon in a week as Typhoon Bavi approaches landfall. Thousands evacuated. And Norway locking horns with England tonight for semi-final spot in the World Cup 2026. Argentina to face Switzerland tomorrow morning. Heavy rains have triggered flash floods in Bangladesh's southeastern city of Chattogram inundating homes, roads and low-lying areas while leaving many residents stranded in flood waters. According to the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, at least 8 people have died in Chattogram due to the flooding. Rescue and relief operations have been launched in affected areas as authorities work to evacuate stranded residents and provide emergency assistance. The flooding has disrupted daily life, with many communities facing waterlogging, damaged property and difficulties accessing essential services. Now, a deadly wildfire in southern Spain that killed at least 12 people showed signs of easing, allowing firefighters to launch a direct attack on the blaze for the first time. According to the officials, the fire has burned about 6,600 hectares in Andalusia area, which is home to a large community of foreigners, since erupting on Thursday, and has forced nearly 1,500 people to evacuate. Officials said improved weather conditions, including higher humidity and lighter winds, had helped slow the fire's spread. Authorities reported no additional deaths overnight, while most of those killed are believed to be foreign nationals living in the area. Now, Zimbabwe's government said it has repatriated more than 21,000 of its citizens from South Africa since late May, as pressure on undocumented migrants intensified. The government said another 56,800 citizens returned independently during the same period. The departures come amid a broader regional exodus, with several other African countries like Malawi and Ghana assisting their nationals to leave South Africa following anti-migrant protests and a campaign telling undocumented migrants to leave the country by June 30. South Africa's border authorities said tens of thousands of migrants have exited through the Beitbridge border crossing in recent weeks. Now, South Africa has faced growing tensions over migration, as some groups blame undocumented migrants for unemployment, pressure on public services and crime. Japan's space agency JAXA said its prototype reusable rocket successfully completed its first liftoff and landing test on Saturday, marking a key milestone in developing cost-cutting launch technology. The rocket reached an altitude of about 10 meters before landing safely after a 40-second flight at Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency test site in Akita Prefecture. The test came a day after China announced its own first successful reusable rocket landing, showcasing a growing Asian competition in reusable space launch technology, largely dominated by Western space agencies. Officials said the Japanese test yielded valuable data that will be reviewed to assess the rocket's performance. Now, reusable rockets are designed to reduce launch cost by recovering and reusing expensive components, a technology currently led by SpaceX. Dozens of residents gathered in the village of Burin, south of Nablus in the occupied West Bank for a kite festival held amid escalating violence, Israeli military raids and settler attacks in the region. Organizers said the event was aimed at bringing the community together, with participants flying kites towards the nearby Israeli settlement of Har Barcha. Now, the event featured kites carrying different symbols, while residents described the festival as a moment of celebration and cultural expression amid ongoing tensions and uncertainty in the occupied West Bank. U.S. rapper Pitbull has officially received a Guinness World Record after his fans set a new record for the largest number of people wearing bald caps in one place during a special event in London. The record was presented to Pitbull backstage ahead of his headline performance at Hyde Park, where he celebrated the achievement as a milestone shared with his supporters. Speaking before taking the stage, Pitbull described the moment as a major honor, saying it was a blessing to be at Hyde Park for an event that was record-breaking and record-making. Now, Mr. Worldwide and his fans, they were very thankful for the participation and credited them for helping create a memorable moment that extended beyond music. The bald cap gathering became a tribute to Pitbull's signature appearance and helped strengthen the connection between the artist and his global fan base. The Guinness World Record recognition marked another achievement in the career of the Grammy-winning performer. who continues to attract audiences worldwide with his music and live shows. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
The International Energy Agency said global oil demand began recovering in June as shipments through the Strait of Hormuz resumed and oil prices declined. In its latest monthly oil report, IEA stated global oil supply rose by 4.1 million barrels per day to 98.8 million barrels, while Gulf exports increased to 16.1 million barrels per day, though both remain below pre-conflict levels. But the agency warned that renewed exchanges of fire between the United States and Iran have clouded the outlook for global energy markets. The IEA said that global oil supply could improve further if renewed hostilities are swiftly de-escalated, and if the transit volumes through the Strait of Hormuz increase, global oil supply is expected to expand by 7.5 million barrels per day in 2027. New Zealand and India have signed a series of agreements to strengthen cooperation across strategic, economic, and people-to-people sectors following a visit by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Auckland. The deals cover maritime security, tourism, animal husbandry and dairying, disaster management, and sports. The two countries also adopted a joint action plan on sports to boost collaboration in high-performance training, sports science, sports medicine, and athlete development. A separate tourism agreement aims to increase visitor arrivals and deepen cultural exchanges, while a cooperation pact on animal husbandry and dairying aims to promote technical collaboration and the sharing of best practices. U.S. tech firm Apple has filed a federal lawsuit accusing American artificial intelligence research organization OpenAI, its startup IO Products, and two former Apple employees of stealing confidential product development information. In a lawsuit filed in a federal U.S. court in California, Apple alleged that its former employees emailed themselves internal Apple documents before leaving to join OpenAI, describing the actions as part of a pattern of theft of trade secrets. OpenAI denied any interest in other companies' trade secrets, with spokesperson Drew Pusateri saying the company is reviewing the complaint and remains focused on developing innovative AI technology. Apple, on the other hand, said the lawsuit is backed by significant evidence. A London High Court has ruled largely in favor of 5 major car makers, Mercedes, Ford, Peugeot, Citroën, Renault and Nissan, in the latest Dieselgate emissions case, rejecting most claims that they used illegal devices to cheat clean air laws and emission tests. The court, however, found issues with certain emission control strategies used in some Mercedes and Peugeot Citroën vehicles, with a second trial in October set to determine possible damages. The case, brought on behalf of 1.6 million motorists, is part of the wider Dieselgate scandal that began in 2015 after Volkswagen admitted installing software to manipulate emissions tests. Volkswagen has since paid more than $36.5 billion in penalties, mostly in the United States, while legal action has spread to several other automakers. Claimants said they are considering an appeal, while the manufacturers welcomed the ruling as a major legal victory.
Time for sports update. Nepal's under-19 women's cricket team has made a winning start to the ACC under-19 Women's Premier Cup, defeating Qatar by 105 runs in its opening match in Malaysia. Playing at the Baymas Cricket Oval, Nepal posted a target of 131 runs after losing just 3 wickets in its allotted 20 overs. In reply, Qatar was bowled out for only 25 runs in 12 overs. For Nepal, Sabitri Dhami top scored with a brilliant half-century, scoring 52 runs off 47 balls with 5 boundaries. In the run chase, Qatar failed to build a partnership, with none of their batters reaching double figures. Sargam Patel was their top scorer with just 4 runs. Nepal will face Singapore in its next match this Sunday. The race to the 2026 FIFA World Cup title is down to its final 8. Tonight, the spotlight shifts to 2 heavyweight encounters as England faces Norway and defending champions Argentina takes on Switzerland for the remaining semi-final places. Let's explore more.
The road to the 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-finals is heating up, and we've had another thrilling night of knockout football. Spain are through to the last 4 after a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Belgium. The Spaniards held their nerve in a tense quarter-final, sealing the win with a late goal to set up a blockbuster semi-final against France. For Belgium, it's the end of another World Cup campaign, while Spain's title hopes remain very much alive. Now all eyes turn to tonight's remaining quarter-finals, with 2 massive clashes set to decide the other semi-final. First up, Norway take on England in Miami at 2:45 a.m. on July 12. It's a mouth-watering contest featuring 2 of the tournament's biggest goal scorers, Erling Haaland for Norway and Harry Kane for England. Norway are chasing a historic first World Cup semi-final, while England are aiming to keep their dream of ending decades of World Cup heartbreak alive. Later, defending champions Argentina face Switzerland at 6:45 a.m. Nepal time the same day in Kansas City. Lionel Messi and Argentina are looking to move one step closer to retaining the trophy, but Switzerland have been one of the tournament's toughest defensive teams and will be hoping to pull off the upset and book their place in the Final 4. The winners of tonight's 2 quarterfinals will meet in the second semi-final, while Spain have already secured their place against France.
Prince Harry joined wounded military veterans in Birmingham on Saturday to mark 1 year until the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027, celebrating the resilience and determination that define the international adaptive sports competition. The Duke of Sussex participated in sporting activities alongside competitors before delivering a speech praising the strength of the Invictus community. The countdown event showcased athletes preparing for next year's games, which will bring together wounded, injured and sick service personnel and veterans from around the world to compete across multiple adaptive sports. Founded by Prince Harry in 2014, the Invictus Games use the power of sport to support recovery, rehabilitation and inspire participants through competition. Birmingham will host the 2027 edition, with organizers expecting athletes from dozens of nations. Now to the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories once again. Flood inundates landless squatters holding center in Kirtipur. Dozens of families evacuated. Nepal government revokes licenses of 44 construction firms for failing to renew permits. Most of contractors miss mandatory deadline. Caterpillar infestation threatens Chapa's tea gardens. Outbreak adds to farmers' woes amid low prices and market uncertainty. Iran's supreme leader vows vengeance for predecessors' killing. Iran's foreign minister reaches Oman for talks on Strait of Hormuz. China braced for second typhoon in a week as Typhoon Bavi approaches landfall. Thousands evacuated. And Norway locking horns with England tonight for semi-final spot in World Cup 2026. Argentina to face Switzerland tomorrow morning. That's all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am April Agising Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.